A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Well, Cokie has changed his mind about wanting to marry Betty. He suddenly discovered that he isn't in love with her. Mr. Ace is quite delighted. But Jane, who has been planning the elopement, is quite upset. Our scene is the Ace's bungalow just after dinner. Here are Jane, Mr. Ace, and Marge. Listen.
Well, I just don't know how I'm going to break the news to her. The crying that's going to be going on here tonight. Wow.
Oh, she'll get over it. Don't worry about it.
Of course she will, but she has to be told, and right away. We know about it, and she doesn't. It isn't right to have her sitting around waiting to be married and the marriage called off.
Yeah, we have to tell her.
Not we. Not me, anyhow.
Oh, I'll be very happy to tell her myself.
You will?
Oh, I can't think of anything more delightful. In fact, I'd appreciate it if you would draft me to tell her. I've been looking forward to it.
Never mind, dear. Never mind. I get your draft.
What?
He seems a little too anxious, doesn't he, Jack?
I'll say the world. Just don't bother, dear.
Oh, Jane.
Never mind now.
Oh, I never have any fun around here.
Fun? Do you call a thing like this fun?
Do I?
No, I asked you that.
Oh, well, I'd certainly be delighted to let tell that little smart-aleck niece of yours that there's something in life that she can't get.
Oh, dear, how can you
Well,
talk
it's her
like that?
attitude. Ever since she first came here, she's been flaunting her super intelligence and that confidence of hers that life is just cut down to her measure. This will be the best thing that ever happened to her.
I think there's something in that, Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, you too, Marge.
I can see Ace's viewpoint that Betty has sort of been riding roughshod over everybody she came in contact with, and she figured that all she has to do is crook her finger and Cokie come running.
Yeah, Cokies running all right.
Isn't he disgusting? Honestly, when he told me about this afternoon, I could have cried. So you can imagine how she's going to cry when I tell her.
Oh, a good cry will be the best thing in the world for her. When they're not able to cry, you have to watch out.
I guess I have to tell her, don't I?
Oh, absolutely. You can't have a kid going on thinking she's about to become a bride, and all the time we know she's not.
Yes, I guess you're right, Marge. I guess I have to break the news to her. But I'm going to do it my way, and I don't want anybody to say anything while I'm doing it.
Oh, I won't say a thing, Jane.
I'm not looking at you, Marge.
Oh, I never have any fun around here.
Fun? How can you call this fun? Breaking a girl's heart is behind me.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
isn't
don't
it?
mind him, Jane.
Oh, here she comes, I think. Now, don't say anything. Is that you, Betty? Yes, Aunt Jane. It's Betty. Oh, I just hate to think about her
Hello,
crying.
Betty.
Hello.
Well, good evening.
Good evening. Wait a minute, Betty. Where are you going?
To my room. Why?
Well, don't go yet.
Oh, but I want to get out of this coat and hat. It's starting to rain out. I want to hang everything up before it wrinkles.
Oh, well, all right, but come out as soon as you're through.
Well, what is it, Aunt Jane?
Oh, well, never mind. I'll tell you when you come back. And, bring your handkerchief with you.
I what?
Oh, go on, Betty. When you come back, there'll be plenty of time.
I'll be back in a few minutes.
Jane.
Bring a handkerchief with you.
That's a nice way to break the news to her, Jane.
He doesn't know what I mean.
Yeah, another minute you would have known. At that, I think you've got the right idea there, Jane. Just come right out and tell her and get it over with.
No, that's not the way.
Well, do it your way, Jane. Only get it over with.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to do it in a roustabout
Yeah,
sort of
that's
way.
what I was afraid of.
Well, I am. If you think I enjoy seeing somebody cry, especially
Don't
her.
worry so much about her crying. As Marge says, it'll do her good.
Of course it will.
Well, I hate to be the one that makes her cry.
It's not you, it's Cokie.
Yes, but I'm the one that's telling her about it. Are you sure we can't make Cokie marry her?
Hey, Kim, now don't start that again, Jane. How can you? He just changed his mind, that's all.
Yes, I guess you're right.
Sure.
I told him that he's suing for breach of promise and suing for everything we have.
Oh, for everything Cokie's done.
Yes, but it didn't do any good. His mind's made up.
I'll say it is, and this is just as lucky for her as it is for Cokie. I mean, calling it off this way.
Lucky?
Why, sure it's lucky.
Lucky to call off a marriage? Why, it's unlucky even to be late to your marriage, much less to be so late you're not there at all.
What was that again? I didn't get that.
Oh, you heard me. And don't start getting smart when I tell Betty about this. Oh, dear, the more I think about the way she's going to cry.
Don't think about it. Hush, here.
Now, what was it you were saying, Aunt Jane?
Oh, Betty, come on, sit down.
Did you say you wanted to tell me something?
Yes, but sit down first. Just sit down and relax. You look tired, Betty.
Oh, I am tired. That job of mine gets harder every day.
It does, huh? Well, I guess everybody works hard. Look at the work I have to do around the house. That's what happens when a person gets married and has to keep house and plan dinners and things. Honestly, sometimes I think it's much nicer staying single.
Oh, that's fine talk, Jane.
I'll trade with you any day, Aunt Jane.
Sure.
Trade?
Yes, I'll take home life. You can have the business office with all its hustle and bustle.
Oh, I can't trade now. It's too late. I was only saying that sometimes I wish I had stayed single. Don't you?
Don't I what?
What?
What are you talking about, Aunt Jane?
About staying single.
But you're married.
Yes, I know I am, but I mean other people. Sometimes I think other people would be better off if they stayed single.
It's a matter of opinion, Aunt Jane.
Yes, isn't it?
Personally, I think that if a girl finds the right man, she can do no better than to settle down and make a home for herself and him.
Yes, I guess so, if she finds the right man. But the thing is that most girls don't find the right man.
Speaking from experience, Aunt Jane?
Oh, now you stop that, Betty.
Remember her own words, Uncle
I
Ed.
know, but don't
There,
start.
you stay out of this. I'm telling
Well, you're
you.
making a very poor job of it.
I am not. First, I'm going to show her that it's better to be single. Then I'll break the news to her.
Oh, first you're going to
What
tell...
news?
What?
What news are you going to break to me?
Oh, well, it's like I said, finding the right man. Now, you take Cokies.
I'm ready to take him.
Yes. No, I don't mean take him. I mean take him.
I'm ready to for better or for worse.
No, I mean take him for instance.
For instance,
Yes, take Cokies for instance. Do you think he's the right man?
I do.
Oh, you do?
I certainly... Aunt Jane, are you forsaking me too?
Beg pardon?
Are you leaving me too?
Oh, no, it's just Cokies that's leaving you.
What did you say?
It's just Cokies that's leaving you.
Leaving me?
Now, Betty, don't start yet. I have to tell you all about it. Now, don't start crying.
Go on, Aunt Jane.
But promise me now, you won't cry right away.
I said go on, Aunt Jane. What are you trying to tell me?
Well, he came over here this afternoon and told me he'd changed his mind. Well, I was dumbfounded. I couldn't imagine what he meant. Well, he finally told me he decided that he didn't want to get married. And now don't start crying, Betty.
Please go on, Aunt Jane.
Well, he said he was thinking it over, and he said he tested himself. He said he wouldn't see you for a whole day just to see if he missed you. And he said he didn't miss you. And he said that made him think he shouldn't get married after all. Well, I sure told him a thing, but he kept saying he changed his mind and he wasn't going to marry you.
He wasn't going to marry me.
Now, Betty, don't start crying.
That's a laugh. He changed his mind.
Well, that's what he said.
When I was making the sacrifice, going to give up everything for his betterment, he changed his mind.
Oh, give me your handkerchief, Betty.
And what a lesson. What a lesson for all womanhood. Men, I despise them all. They're not worth that. How lucky I am to have learned about them while there's still time. He changed his mind.
Betty, don't go to your room. Come back here.
What a joke on me. When I think of what I was willing to sacrifice, he changed his mind.
Oh, Betty, come back here.
Well, here, too.
Did you ever hear such carrying on? Oh, she didn't cry after
No,
all.
but you made up for it. Here you sat around worrying about Betty, what Betty was going to cry, and it turns out that you're the one.
Oh,
that...
well, can I help it if I belong to the Weeper sex?
Oh, the Weeper sex.
Oh, stop laughing, Marge. I've had enough things go wrong already. Instead of crying, she has to laugh. Well, at least you've got it over
Yes,
with.
now she knows, and now she'll get over it in time.
Yeah, she may get over it, but she certainly will always have her opinion of men. She let men have it.
But she's right. They're all alike. Present company accepted there.
Oh, that's all right.
What a lesson this is. What a lesson.
Stop that, will
Well,
you?
I wouldn't give that much for all the men in the world. And they're all alike. Present company accepted
There's
there.
somebody at the door. Quiet, Jane.
Quiet nothing. He changed his mind.
Jane, there's somebody at the door.
I'll go.
I don't care. It gets my ghost the way some men act.
Hello, Uncle Ace. What the hell?
Is that Cokie? Cokie, what's he doing here?
I gotta see you, Uncle Ace.
What the hell? Why aren't you working tonight?
I gotta see you. I changed my mind.
You what?
Oh, hello, Marge. I changed my mind.
You told me that this afternoon. I heard you. Man, they're all alike.
But I changed my mind again.
Again? What do you mean again?
I had a talk with my boss. Remember I told you he promised to give me a $5 raise?
Yeah?
Well, I don't get it unless I get married. That's what he told me tonight.
Man, they're all alike.
What was that, Cokie?
Well, he promised to give me a $5 raise, but that was because I told him I was thinking of getting married. But if I don't get married, I don't get the raise. So I changed my mind. I'll get married. You'll get...
Man, they're a joke.
Oh, it's no joke. I'll marry Betty.
You what?
I'll marry her.
You mean it?
Sure I mean it.
Cokie, you don't know your own mind. You can't.
Now, dear, don't start that. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold him, somebody. Betty, hold him, dear. Don't let him go away. Betty, come here. Hurry.
Now, wait a minute, Jane.
What is? Hurry, changed his mind again. Look who's here. care. He said he'd marry you now.
Hello, Betty. Remember that raise my boss promised me? I can't get it unless I get married.
So what?
So will you make me the happiest man in the world again?
Oh, Betty, now calm down. Stop being so serious.
I'm quite calm, terribly calm. I was never so calm in my life. Why, I wouldn't marry you if you were the last man on earth. I wouldn't marry anybody. Ever.
But Betty, I can't get my raise unless you do.
Go away. You annoy me. And from now on, I don't know you even exist. And that's the last I'll ever say to you.
But Betty, you wouldn't do that to me, would you? Betty.
Betty, he's talking to you.
You wouldn't do that to my raise, would you? It's $5, Betty. Oh, gee, Betty, answer me.
Well, Cokie, I'm afraid you won't get a raise out of her tonight.
No, it doesn't look as if he will.
Betty changed her mind now, which is only fair, I suppose, after Cokie had changed his. But we'll learn more about it when next we meet the Easy...
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Bunko Fugitive Detail. An extortion ring is operating in your city. The victims are wealthy businessmen. The thieves claim they're policemen. Your job, check them out. Friends, this month's Chesterfield poster features the world's greatest golfer, Ben Hogan. Now, here's what he has to say about Chesterfields.
I'm a Chesterfield smoker and have been for 7 years. The reason's simple. Chesterfield is the best for me. They're milder, and they taste great. Try them yourself.
Take Ben Hogan's advice. Try Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you proof of low nicotine, highest quality, and a proven record with smokers. Chesterfield, regular or king size, best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 10th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Bunko Fugitive Detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. I'd spent the morning in court, and it was 11:45 a.m. when I got back to room 38, Bunko Division.
Well, I'm telling you, you better do something about it. Getting terrible when a citizen has a thing like this happen to him.
All right, Mr. Mather. If you'll take it easy, tell me what happened.
I got a lot of friends in this town. I happen to know one of the councilmen real well. If you don't clean this thing up, you're going to be walking a beat out in the plum thicket.
Just a minute, Mr. Mather. Here's my partner. Now, if you'll tell us what happened, maybe we can help you out.
Now, you don't need no partner. Just go out and arrest them fellas. Go get them.
What's the matter here? This is Mr. Keith Mather, Joe. It's my partner, Sergeant Friday. How are you, sir?
Now, don't you come around here trying to smooth things over. I'm not going to be happy till them hoodlums are in jail where they belong. I'm telling you the same as I told this fella. You do something about this, I'm going to take it to the mayor.
What's the matter here, Frank?
I don't know. I'm trying to find out.
Well, what you going to do about it?
How about a cigarette, huh?
Thanks.
Here, I have a match. There you are.
How about it?
Sir?
Well, how about it? What you going to do?
Well, sir, if you'd start right at the beginning and tell us what this is all about, maybe we can give you a hand.
Well, there isn't a shoe shine in the world that's worth $5. I don't care what kind of wax they use. Not for $5, no, sir.
Shoe shine?
Yes. They call it imported wax. Where they charge for it must be brought in from Timbuktu. Ridiculous.
I'll get the report.
Right.
Take a match and light it, and they burn the edges of your shoe soles. Don't do nothing but smoke up your shoes, that's all. Just smoke up your shoes. A $5 hot foot.
You want to give us your full name, sir?
Keith Jefferson Mather. Right there on the street that threatened me.
Where'd this happen, sir?
Shoe shine stand, the corner of Main and Colon. Little place with pin-up pictures all over the walls. Never seen so many pin-ups.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if they had a card showing the prices of the shines?
Well, I didn't see one. Only them pictures, hard to tell.
Well, if you just tell us in your own words exactly what happened, will you please?
I was on my way to work. Had a very busy day, a lot of important appointments. I just parked my car and I was walking along and went by this place. A fella standing there asked me if I wanted to shine. Just so happened I did, so I climbed up in the chair. Well, I was sitting there reading the paper, and the man asked me if I wanted imported wax. I wasn't paying a lot of attention. I guess I said yes. Next thing I know, I think he's trying to give me a hot foot. I looked down. He's got this big kitchen match out. He's burning the edges of my soles. Smoke coming up. I told him to stop it. I got down from the chair. I was plenty sore. You can just bet I was sore. Plenty.
Yes, sir, we can understand.
Well, I handed him $50. Figured that'd take care of the tip, too. Wasn't a very good shine. Come right down to it, $50 was too much. All that smoke. Next thing I know, he said the shine was $5. $5? Almost climbed right down top of the place. Couldn't believe my ears. Can you imagine $5 for shine?
That's when the men got out of the car, did they?
That's right. And 3 fellas got right out. Say, how'd you know about that?
Well, sir, this isn't a new operation.
You mean tell me this happened before?
Yes, sir. We get a couple of dozen complaints a week.
We'll finish up this report, and then if you'll point out the place, we'll have a look.
Then you can just start writing. I told you I had a lot of important appointments. I can't spend all day here.
Can I see someone here, please?
Yes, sir. You want to go ahead with this, Frank? I'll see what he wants.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Could I help you?
I want to give myself up.
Sir?
This is Bunko Fugitive, isn't it? That's what it says on the door.
Yes, sir. That's right.
I want to give myself up. I'm tired of running. I haven't got any place to go.
Would you like to tell me what this is all about?
I gave him every nickel I had. I haven't even got enough money to go home. All I want's enough to eat on and get back home. I gave him everything.
I don't believe I understand you, sir.
I gave him all the money I had. He said it'd be all right. I'm broke, and I want to borrow enough to get home.
Well, who are you talking about? Who'd you give the money to?
Policeman.
The man who'd walked into the office identified himself as Martin Dietrich. From the story he gave us, it appeared that he'd been the victim of a shakedown by a person or persons representing themselves as police officers. We turned the shoeshine parlor complaint over to one of the other officers for investigation, and then we took Dietrich across the street to the Federal Cafe. We sat down in a booth and ordered coffee while the victim had breakfast. He acted as if he hadn't eaten in several days. Frank and I waited until he finished, and then we started to question him.
If you'll just tell us what happened, Dietrich.
Sure. I'm from Chicago. I work for a wholesale drug company back there, and I had to come out here on business. I got in last Saturday.
That'd be August 7th, would it?
Yeah, the 7th. I got in at 8:45 on the Super Chief. Well, I didn't have any business to do until yesterday, so I thought I'd look the town over, get settled, you know?
Yes, sir.
I didn't even have a hotel reservation, so after I got off the train, I was waiting for my baggage to be checked through, and I went over to the coffee shop for some coffee. Sat down, started to read the paper, and must have been there for about 15, 20 minutes when this guy came in and sat down next to me.
Go ahead.
He just sat there for a couple of minutes. I didn't pay any attention to him. Busy reading the paper, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then he asked me for a match. I gave him one, told him to keep the pack. I remember telling him that. Next thing I know, we're in a big conversation. Turns out he's from Chicago, too.
Did he tell you his name?
Said it was Gabriel Bush. Told me he was in the wholesale liquor business. Said he was out here on a selling trip, checking up on the branch office. Well, I went right along with him. Seemed like such a nice fellow, well-dressed, cultured. Yeah, even knowing it, you sure wouldn't figure him for what he was.
What was that, sir?
A narcotic addict.
You sure about that?
Well, I should be. It cost me over $3,000 to find out.
You want to go on, sir?
We got a cab and went out to a big hotel on Wilshire. He had reservations there. He signed the card, and we went up to the room. The way he acted, you'd never know anything was wrong, never even suspected.
I see.
Well, we no sooner got in the room than Gabe started to unpack his suitcase.
Gabe?
Yeah, Gabriel Bush.
Oh, yeah.
He told me to call him Gabe. Said he was named after a great uncle or something. Didn't care much for the name.
I see. Go ahead, please.
Well, he unpacked his bag, and I guess I should have noticed something then, the way he acted.
How do you mean?
When he took the stuff out of his bag, he acted like he didn't want me to see what he was doing. But he did it in a funny way, so I couldn't miss noticing it. You know what I mean?
I think I do, yeah.
Well, he went into the bathroom, stayed in there a couple of minutes, and then when he came out, he had his sleeve rolled up, had a piece of cotton on his arm, like when they give you a transfusion. You know, here?
Yeah.
He had this little leather case, and when he went to put it away, dropped it. Spilled the stuff in it all over the floor. I should have gotten out right then, right there. If I'd had any brains, I would have gotten out.
What was in the case, do you know?
All the stuff for taking narcotics, hypodermic needle, all that stuff.
Well, what did he say when he dropped this?
He just tried to laugh it off. And then he told me that he was a diabetic, said that he had to take insulin shots. About that time, the other two guys came in.
What did these two men want?
Said Gabe was a narcotic addict. Said they'd been after him for a long time and that they'd gotten word from the Chicago police that he was coming out here.
Yeah?
He told me that they'd been following us since we got off the train. Been following us all the time.
What'd they do then?
Took us downstairs and put us in a car. So they were going to take us to jail. I tried to talk to him, tell him I didn't have any part in what Gabe was doing. I didn't even know about the narcotics. One of them said they knew that.
That you weren't involved in it?
Yeah. Then the other one opened up the glove compartment of the car and took out a microphone, called in here to police headquarters, gave them Gabe's name and mine, said they had us in custody and were bringing us in. And I kept asking the one guy in the back with me to let me go, let me get out of the car.
What'd he say?
Oh, he told me that they'd like to, but it was too late, that they'd already called in my name, said they couldn't do anything about it now. I told him how it would ruin me if the story got out. How could I explain it to my bosses? That's when they told me there was a way.
Yeah.
The one fellow said that if I could afford to take care of all the policemen who knew that I'd been picked up, maybe they could fix it. The other one, the one in the front seat, said that wasn't a good idea, that they should book me. Well, they got in a discussion about it. The one guy wanted to let me go. The other one said not to. Finally, the one with me, the one in the back seat, won out. I gave him all the money I had, $3,350.
How much?
$3,350.
I see.
Then they pulled the car over to the curb and told me to get out.
The badge these two men showed you, did it look like this one?
I think so. I was so worried I didn't get a real close look at it. I think it was the same.
I see. Either one of them tell you their names?
Not the one in the front seat. The one who wanted to let me go said his name was Lang. He said he was a sergeant.
He tell you where he worked?
Just narcotics, that's all he said.
You gave him this money all in cash, did you?
Yeah, all of it. Say, do you know him? You know these two officers?
No, sir, we don't.
You said they were policemen. The badges, the police car, even the radio.
Did you hear anyone talk back to him on that radio?
I don't remember. I was so upset about what was happening, I didn't pay any attention to what was going on. All I could think about was that I was going to jail for something I didn't know anything about. No, I don't remember.
What kind of a car was it?
The Chevrolet.
What color?
Sort of a light gray.
Will you show us the hotel where all this happened?
Sure, but I don't understand all this. The other two policemen said that if I gave them the money, everything would be all right. They said they could fix it up. Now, I don't want any trouble. All I want is enough money to get home. They said they'd fix the whole thing up. They told me there wouldn't be any trouble. No trouble.
Yes, sir.
You think they're really cops?
I don't know, but they're wrong about one thing.
What's that?
There's going to be trouble. 12:52 p.m. We took the victim, Martin Dietrich, back to the city hall. We got in touch with Lieutenant Iannone, Internal Affairs Division. We filled him in on what had happened. He started an immediate check of all police officers in the city and the county. Working from the description we'd gotten from the victim, we notified the narcotics detail. They went to work on it. A local and an APB were gotten out on the suspects. We checked the name Gabriel Bush through R&I, but when the mug shots from the packages that we came up with were shown to Dietrich, he was unable to give us an identification. 3:15 p.m. We drove the victim out to the hotel where he told us the shakedown had occurred. In the company of the manager, we went upstairs.
Come right in. This is the room.
How about it, Dietrich?
Yeah, this is where he brought me.
Mr. Alden, do you know anything about the man who took this room?
You mean Mr. Bush?
Yes, sir.
No, I don't. I do remember when he came in, registered with this gentleman here, had a reservation. I had the boy bring him up to the room.
Yes, sir.
Well, all the time Mr. Bush was signing the card, he was telling Mr. Dietrich here that there was a convention in town, how all the hotels were full up. Well, that's not right. We haven't had a really big convention in a couple of months. Why, right here in this place, we've got several rooms we could have let Mr. Dietrich have. Not that we're not doing a good business, you understand, not at all.
Yes, sir.
But we do have a few very nice rooms.
Have you ever seen this Mr. Bush before?
No, I don't think I ever have.
All right, sir. If we could take a look at the registration card, and then we'd like to talk to the cashier.
Sure.
Do you know if their bill was paid when they checked out?
I imagine so. I don't collect the money. Cashier does that. We can ask her.
All right, sir.
You think you might get a clue from her?
Well, we'd like to talk to her if we could.
She won't be able to tell you anything that I haven't filled you in on already.
Sir?
Well, it follows. I'm the manager here. Anything goes on, I'm going to know about it. Not only that, but I've worked a lot with our security officer.
How's that, sir?
House detective.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, I help him out all the time. People are always trying to get away with hotel property, but we stop them. Come right down to it, I could almost be a policeman myself. All I need is a badge and a gun.
Afraid you're a little wrong there, mister.
Just a badge and a gun.
They don't make you a cop. 4:38 p.m. We talked to the cashier at the hotel. She told us that the bill for the room had been paid by Gabriel Bush at 2:15 the afternoon of the shakedown, 3 hours after Martin Dietrich had turned over all his money to the thieves. She told us that the bill had been paid with cash and that she could give us no further information on the man. We obtained the registration card the suspect had signed when he checked into the hotel. In the usual processing of the card by hotel employees, it had been handled so much that lifting fingerprints from it was impossible. The card was turned over to Don Myers in handwriting to be checked. 5:20 p.m. The victim started to look through the photographs of police officers. Lieutenant Iannone's preliminary investigation had failed to turn up any police officers who matched the description of the shakedown men. A check with the officers from narcotics detail netted us nothing. They were still checking their sources of information to help us in coming up with a lead. 11:16 p.m. We took the victim out for dinner, and then we came back to the city hall and continued to go through the pictures. At 1:26 a.m., he finished the last book without finding the men who'd claimed that they were police officers. We checked out of the office, and Dietrich spent the night at Frank's house. The following morning, Wednesday, August 11th, 8:04 a.m., Frank and I met with Captain Didion in his office.
Well, where are you on it?
Not too far, Skipper.
What have you got?
Well, we checked the files. We're pretty sure that they aren't policemen.
How about narcotics? They come up with anything?
Not yet. They're still working on it.
You need any extra men?
No, not right now. We might later.
I got Johnny DeBetta standing by. You can use anybody else you need, but clean this thing up. Where do you go from here?
Well, we're getting descriptions out to all the hotels, warning them about the racket, asking them to call us if this Bush guy registers again.
Doesn't seem like he'll use the same name again.
No reason not to, Skipper. He doesn't know we're onto him.
I suppose so. I got an idea last night. Might work. At least it'd be something to start on.
All right.
Well, it figures that the only men who'll go for this dodge have got responsible positions in their hometowns. If they didn't have, they wouldn't care about being brought down here along with Bush. Is that right?
Yeah, that follows.
They got to be from out of town so the con men can get rid of them fast.
Yeah.
Now, this Dietrich, he was picked up in the Union Station, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And if you're going to pick your men up, that's the place to do it. Try to nail them while they're setting the mark.
Yeah, it might work. Be better if one of us was the mark, though.
That's what I had in mind. You got any good luggage, Joe? Expensive looking?
Well, I got a set my mother gave me last Christmas. Looks pretty good to me.
We'll try it then. Smith, you'll work with DeBetta. Keep a tail on Friday from the time he gets into Union Depot. Joe.
Yeah.
Here's a timetable.
What?
Tomorrow morning you start riding the train.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. It's taking place at your dealers, cigarette dealers coast to coast.
Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. Join them today, and you'll be smoking the only cigarette that gives you proof of low nicotine, highest quality. I want you to know that's a matter of record. And so's this. As I've been telling you, Chesterfield is the only cigarette with this proven record with smokers. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Good reasons why you should change to Chesterfield? You bet. Ask for Chesterfield. Regular or king size, best for you.
The following morning, Thursday, August 12th, I drove out to Pasadena. At 8:12 a.m., I caught the train on its last stop before it reached the Union Depot in Los Angeles. At 8:45 a.m., the train pulled into the station. I got off, walked up the ramp into the terminal. From there, I walked over to the coffee shop and waited for over an hour. From where I sat, I could see Frank and Sergeant John DeBetta further down the counter. At the end of the hour, no attempt had been made to approach me, and we called off the operation for the day. While I was in the coffee shop, I watched for anybody matching the description of the suspect, Bush, but if he was there, we didn't see him. The operation was staged again for the next 2 days without results. On Sunday, August 15th, I went through the same procedure. After the waitress brought my coffee, I waited. 9:02 a.m.
Mind if I sit down here?
No, go right ahead. Here, I'll move my coat.
I'll get it for you. You're not going to need an overcoat out here. Sure is hot.
Yeah, I guess so. This is my first trip. Thought I'd bring one with me anyway. California weather, you know.
Yeah, you never know. Where are you from?
Chicago.
Oh, you take the chief in?
Yeah. Just thought I'd have a cup of coffee before I start out to find a hotel.
Yeah. Guess I had to introduce myself. I'm Gabriel Bush. Friends call me Gabe.
Well, my name's Friday. Did you just get in, too?
Yeah. I work for a wholesale liquor company in Chicago.
It's a small world. Where are your offices?
On State Street. Got a little trouble with our West Coast office, so the boss sent me out to see if I can straighten it out. What are you doing here?
Oh, just kind of business and pleasure.
Mm-hmm. What line you in?
Machine tools.
Well, how long are you going to be in town?
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm leaving Tuesday.
That doesn't give you a lot of time here. You know anybody in town?
No, sir, I don't. Not a soul.
Where'd you say you're staying?
Well, I'm not staying any place. I haven't got a place yet. Thought I'd go over to the Statler.
Oh, you're not going to get in there. Matter of fact, you're going to have a rough time getting in any place.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, there's a big convention in town. No rooms to be had. I made my reservation a couple of weeks ago, and the office out here took care of it.
Oh, I didn't know it'd be that crowded.
Should I tell you what?
Yeah?
Come on over to my hotel. You can park your luggage there, and I'll get in touch with a couple of friends here and see what they can do.
Well, that's sure nice of you, but I don't want you to go to a lot of trouble. I'll find a place somewhere.
It's no trouble at all. Can't let a fellow Chicagoan stand out in the cold. I'm sure the boys can find you a place.
And you know, I sure appreciate all this.
I don't think anything about it. Who knows? Maybe you'll be able to do something for me someday.
Yeah, maybe I can. We walked out of the terminal and we got into a cab. I could see Frank and DeBetta following us. The address Bush gave the cab driver was out on Wilshire. We pulled up in front of the place, we went in. The suspect signed the registration card and we went upstairs. All the time he kept up a running conversation about how difficult it was to get a hotel room. The bellboy left our bags in the room and asked us if we wanted them opened. Bush made it apparent to both the boy and to me that he was the only one who was going to open his own suitcase. After the bellboy left the room, Bush laid his bag on the bed and snapped it open. He took out a small leather case, trying to keep me from seeing it, and at the same time making sure that I did. He went into the bathroom, and after about 2 minutes, he came out. He'd taken off his coat, and his left shirt sleeve was rolled back. He had a small piece of cotton on his arm.
I feel a lot better now.
What's the matter? Something wrong?
Oh, no, nothing at all. You see, I'm a diabetic. I have to take insulin shots every so often.
Oh, that's too bad.
I'll get this back in my suitcase, and we can start looking for a room for you.
Well, that's nice of you.
Oh,
here, let me give you a hand. I'll help you pick it up.
Oh, no, it's all right. Don't worry about it. I can get it.
Here, just a minute. I guess the spoon's part of it, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you used a spoon for insulin. I'll get it.
Wait a minute. Let me put this stuff away.
Well, I'll open the door, see who it is anyway, huh? Yeah, what do you want?
Police officers, you're under arrest.
What for?
Narcotics.
What are you doing breaking in here like this? You got no right coming in a room like this.
Knock it off, Bush. Been after you for a long time. We finally nailed you, and I don't bawl about it.
This other fellow a cop, too?
Yeah, this is my partner, Roger Silby.
Now, listen, I had no part in this. I just met this guy. If you want him, okay, but don't tie me in with him, please.
Too bad, mister. Get your coat.
And where are we going?
Downtown. We got to book you.
But I had no part in this. I tell you, I just met the guy just this morning down at the depot. I just met him. I'm not mixed up in anything. If my company finds out about this, it's going to cost me my job. Now, you guys got to give me a break, please.
Should have thought of that before, mister. A little late now.
Yeah, but if my boss hears about this, he's going to kill me.
Come on, why don't you give the guy a break? He's telling the truth. I just met him. He's got no piece of the action.
That's rough. Maybe next time he'd be more careful who he bums around with. Let's go.
Oh, please, give him a break.
You guys are all alike. You cry when you get tagged.
Yeah, but this isn't right.
Let's go. We're taking you in.
Well, what's the charge?
We'll tell you in jail.
The two men had shown us badges when they came in, but they'd flashed them by so fast there was no way of taking a good look at them. They made Bush and I get our things together, and then they took us downstairs. As we walked through the lobby, I nodded to Frank and Johnny DeBetta. They followed us at a distance. The plan was that I'd get in the car with the suspects and then give them the money. After that, they'd be taken into custody. Until they'd actually taken the money, all we could prosecute them on was a charge of impersonating an officer. Once the currency was in their possession, we could prove extortion, a felony. After we left the hotel, we walked up Wilshire Boulevard, and we stopped by a gray Chevrolet.
All right, get in.
Is this a police car?
That's right. I'll take this one in front with me.
Okay.
All right, get in.
You're making a mistake.
We'll let the judge worry about that. I'll call in and tell him we're coming in.
Right.
This is car 12-7, car 12-7. We have two prisoners in custody. We're taking them downtown for booking. Repeat, we have two prisoners in custody. We're taking them downtown for booking. All right, just sit back, mister. You got a long ride.
What are they going to do to me?
We just book you. After that, it's up to the court.
Yeah, but they're going to let me go, aren't they?
I don't know. They got a big drive on now about narcotics. Court's getting pretty rough. Had a guy up just last week. They caught him in a car with another fellow who was smoking marijuana. This one guy didn't even know it was tea. They really nailed him. Hey, how long did they give Jensen? You mean on that tea rap last week? Yeah, 5 years. Now, you see, they're really getting rough.
Yeah, but you know I didn't have anything to do with this. You said that yourself. You know that. Listen, isn't there some way? There's got to be a way.
I don't know. We don't like to see guys like you nailed, but the pressure's on us, too. We'd like to just let you out of the car, forget we ever saw you. We can't do it.
Why not? Why can't you?
Too many people know we picked you up.
Well, who? Who knows it?
Well, our office, for one. As soon as we spotted you and Bush at the hotel, we called them. Told them we were going to take you into custody. My partner just called in and told them we had you. People on the radio know it. Must be a couple of dozen. No, I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do. Sorry.
It's a lousy deal. It's going to ruin me. You guys know that. I'll lose my job. I'll be through.
I don't know. We'd like to help you out, but you can see there just isn't any way.
But there's got to be.
Sylvie?
Yeah?
How about it? Can't we just let him out? You tell me how we're going to get away with it. How are we going to explain when he isn't there to be booked? Oh, look, he's a nice guy. I don't want to see him get into trouble for something he didn't do. Neither do I, but how do you figure to square it?
Well, you're bright cops. Come on, give the guy a break.
Suppose we could take care of the watch, Commander. Maybe he'd forget we called in.
Taking care of him is expensive.
Yeah. How much money you got on you?
Well, about $2,500.
It's not too much. Can you raise any more?
No, not without sending home. I can't do that.
How about it, Sylvie? 2,500 enough?
Won't go very far. A lot of people to take care of.
That's all he's got.
Ain't enough. Let's book him.
Oh, come on. We've been riding together a long time, Sylvie. This is the lousiest deal we've ever had to pull. If we take the 2,500 and explain it to the commander, it'll work. Come on, let's give the guy a chance.
If it goes wrong, it's on your neck.
All right. I'll take the beef.
Okay, shove him out. We got to take Bush in, though.
All right. Come on, give me the money.
Sure. Here you are. It's all there.
Okay. Sylvie?
Pull over. Let's let him out.
Where are we?
4th and Spring.
Would you mind dropping me off a couple of blocks up the street?
This isn't a taxi service, mister. You're coming out of this smelling like a rose. Don't press your luck.
No, just a couple of blocks up there near First.
Why, what's over there?
City Hall. You're under arrest. The 3 men were taken into custody, and then the marked money was booked as evidence. We got in touch with the victim, Martin Dietrich, and asked him to come down to the City Hall and give us an identification. He looked at the suspects and then stated positively that they were the men who'd shaken him down.
That's them.
You'll sign a complaint?
You bet I will. I want to see him get theirs. Oh, it's all a beef, little con game, that's all. So we took the mark.
Shut up, Lang. They still got to prove it.
That ain't going to be hard with the help your friend Gabe handed out to them. Imagine being so dumb you pick a cop as a mark.
Well, both of you went along with it.
Oh, you're dumb, Gabe. Face it.
All right, let's go. Come on, mister.
Don't give me no orders, cop. You got me in custody, that's enough. Now don't order me around. I'll go when I'm ready.
Come on, Lang.
Hey, you know something, cop? I think I play the part better than you do.
Now, I'm going to tell you something, mister. I want you to remember it. As a con man, you're a flop. You wouldn't know a mark if he came up and hit you right in the mouth. Besides being bad at that, you're a liar. The worst kind of liar. You go around telling people that you're a cop. You flash a tin badge and right off you're the law. You don't care what you do or who you hurt. I've been in this business a long time. I've seen a lot of 5'10s come across the desk here. Guys who take old women, cheap crumbs with a handkerchief switch in the smack game, but at least they don't try to hide behind a phony badge. We don't know how many people you pull this cheap deal on, but we're going to find out. We'll get every name there is, and then we'll make you on all of them. I live in this town. I work here, and I like it. There are 4,500 men in the city who feel the same way, all cops. Men are trying to prove that the law's here to protect people, not to cut them down. They spend every day of the year making up a good score, and you come along and tilt it. Every one of those people you hit thinks he's been taken by a cop now. A cop whose hand was reaching for money that wasn't his. You keep wearing that grin, Lang. See if you can still make it when we turn the key on you. Now, let's go. You want to take him outside, Frank? I'll be right with you.
Yeah, come on.
That all you need me for?
Yeah, Martin, we'll be in touch with you.
Right. Too bad about all this, isn't it?
Yeah.
All those people that bunch took, they're always going to think those guys were real cops.
Yeah, that's right.
Never going to know. Of course, you can't blame them, not really. Look how they got to me. I guess there just ain't any way to tell if a guy flashes a badge, you know. How are you going to tell?
Yeah, there's one way.
How are you going to know he's a fake?
When he asks you for money.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 17th, trial was held in Department 92, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we'd like to express our appreciation to all of you who've made our Dragnet theme song so popular. Whenever or wherever you hear it, we hope it'll remind you to try our Chesterfields. To join the thousands who are changing to Chesterfields and getting the one cigarette that's low in nicotine, highest in quality. Chesterfield. Best for me, best for you.
Gerald Richard Lang, Richard Harris Silby, and Gabriel Norris Bush were tried and convicted of violation of Section 518 PC, extortion. They received sentences prescribed by law. Violation of Section 518 PC is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 10 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin, Herb Ellis, Paul Richards. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke, with Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today.
Hear Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
Pat Novak, for hire. Sure, I'm Pat Novak, for hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak for hire. Down on the waterfront in San Francisco, you don't get prizes for being subtle. If you want to make a living down here, you got to get your hand in the till any way you can. You rob Peter to pay Paul, and then you put it on the cuff. So I rent boats and tell a few white lies if the price is right. It's a happy life, if you don't mind looking up at a headstone, because sooner or later you draw trouble a size too big. I found that out Tuesday night. It was raining, and the street was as deserted as a warm bottle of beer. It must have been about 11 o'clock when I came out of the office and started down the waterfront. As I got near the corner, I stopped. An old man stepped out of the darkness and started across the street. It was a short trip because a car started up down the street, and the old man couldn't have made it with a pocket full of aces. I started over to him. The car slowed down for a minute and then turned the corner and disappeared. As it passed under the streetlight, I caught a glimpse of the license plate in a dull, surprised way, the way you'd grab a feather out of an angel's wing. I bent over the old man and rolled him on his back. He didn't seem to be in pain. He was just an old man with the frightened look of a small boy in a storm. He was breathing hard as I cushioned his head.
Please help me. Can you please help me?
That's a big order, mister.
I must talk to you.
Well, if you've got any good quotes, you better get them off your chest fast.
In my pocket. Inside my pocket. You please put your hand.
Yeah. In here?
Yeah.
Sure. 2 envelopes. What about them?
One is money. For you. You have the other one?
So far.
The other one. Please keep sealed. And you will give it to John St. John?
John St. John.
Yeah.
Well, where's he live?
Oh, you don't understand. It's not... I want to tell you. You don't understand.
He was right on that one. I didn't understand a thing, except he slipped out of my arms and stopped paying taxes. I dragged him over the side, and I went through his stuff. There was nothing there. No identification. Just a card with an address out on Haight Street. I opened the envelope, and $300 tumbled into my breast pocket. The other one was sealed. There was no name on it, but up in the corner there was some kind of marking. It looked like 2 crosses spliced together. There wasn't anything I could do for him except pray, and I owe some back dues, so I went back to my office and called police headquarters. I told them where the old man was, and then I checked in the phone book. There was no John St. John listed. Well, it wasn't going to be easy to find him, and I only had 2 leads, that license number and the address on Haight Street. So I looked up the only honest guy I know, an ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. A good guy, but to him a hangover is the price of being sober. I finally found him singing in a Mason Street bar.
finest little lamb, sure, that ever fed on hay.
Jocko, I want to talk to you.
Ah, Patsy, you're just in time for the counterpoint. I'm singing a song, a little sentimental thing from my childhood.
Yeah, well, it'll keep. I got a problem.
You'll always have a problem, Patsy, because you can't keep out of trouble. You know that, don't you? You have no self-control.
All right, Jocko.
You have no more self-control than a bucket of mercury dumped on a marble staircase.
All right, now, shall we check the bright talk? I just saw a guy get killed.
Oh, you are like some violent disorder in nature, some large but unprofitable storm. You keep whirling in circles, Patsy. If you ever go more than 10 feet in one direction, it's because some woman is 9 feet away. Then it begins all over again.
Are you all through?
Yes, get to the point. That's another of your troubles. You never get to the point.
I just saw a guy killed 10 minutes ago.
How would that interest me? Are you selling an eyewitness account?
Some old guy got killed down on the Embarcadero. He checked out 15 feet away from me.
Who killed him?
I don't know.
Why do you care? Professional jealousy?
Some car came out of nowhere and clipped him.
You sure it wasn't an accident?
Yeah, just like the Berlin blockade. Will you stop needling me, Jocko? I told you a guy got killed. He was murdered right in front of me. I got to find a guy called John St. John.
How, St. John?
John St. John. I don't feel like vaudeville tonight, Jocko. The old man gave me $300 to deliver a letter, and I made him a promise.
Well, you can break it now with only the slightest risk.
I got the license number of the car. Now, I want you to hop down and look it up. And then check at headquarters to see if the guy's got a record, will you?
I don't like policemen. They depress me.
Check it. I got to go out to Haight Street. What kind of neighborhood is it out there?
Well, it's not exactly a neighborhood. It's more like an architectural afterthought, a lingering defense against the early California bear.
All right. No speeches. Just check on that license plate, huh? Now, if I'm not at my place, try this address.
Yes, that's always very interesting at this time of night. Good night, lover.
Jocko was right about the neighborhood. When I left him, I doubled by my place and left the envelope. I put it inside another envelope and stashed it behind some books, and then I headed out to look up John St. John. Oh, it must have been about midnight when I got there, and it was the kind of a neighborhood where a for rent sign reads like a ransom note. I found the place, though. It was an old rooming house, a third-floor apartment. I knocked at the door, and when she opened it, I knew it was time to wire home for money. A tall, blonde blister with lots of Fahrenheit. She stood there leaning against the door, smiling, looking at you as if you had gold-plated muscles. It gave you a weak feeling where your dinner ought to be. And her voice came right out of the oven.
Well, you're that kind of lady.
Yeah, I'm looking for a guy named John St. John.
Oh? Won't you come into my cobweb?
Sure. For a spider, you're nice and chubby.
Oh, a Spider-Man. My name's Lee Norton. You want to write it down?
I'm Pat Novak. I'm looking for a guy named John St. John.
You seem to be running a temperature on the subject. Sit down?
Yeah, the couch will do.
I'll bet you carry rainy nights in your pocket.
All right, now let's get out of the woods, Angel. I'm looking for a guy.
I know you're wearing out the past. I don't know a John St. John.
A dead man was carrying around your address.
He was? That seems rather feudal.
Yeah, an old guy about 60. He got killed crossing the street.
You should have had a Boy Scout then. I don't know anything about him, Mr. Novak. Despite occasional temptations, I don't collect 60-year-old men.
Well, he was looking around your address. Why?
I don't know. Maybe he admired me from afar, like a sunset or something.
No, he stopped admiring sunsets about 20 years ago.
I see. What are you, the avenging angel?
He gave me a sealed envelope.
And you were supposed to give it to a man named John St. John.
That's right. He gave me $300 to ease the pain.
I forget that. You don't look like the charitable type.
He was a nice old guy, so I'm going to find his boy.
Maybe I could help you.
Well, you got a clear, fast track. Let's see you go.
Well, I told you I don't know John St. John, but I'll do this much.
Yeah, I know. You're going to be big-hearted and offer to take that letter just in case you ever meet someone named John St. John.
What? You brought along your crystal ball.
Your hand's shaking, baby.
Maybe it's the wind. You better hold it.
You need a handrail, friend.
Yeah? What are your plans?
I'm open-minded about it.
You're a nice Spider-Man.
Yeah. The wind's getting a little worse, isn't it?
Yeah. Wish you'd act a little more surprised, though.
I'm not. When I walked in, I could see you had both arms broken. Did you pay the rent this month?
Keep the kettle on. I'll only be a moment.
Hello, Lee.
If we're early, just give us a magazine.
No, come on in. Well, just enough for some bridge.
You're right. You're only gone for a moment. Who are your friends?
Well, I don't sulk.
Did they lock the manhole before they left home?
His name's Novak.
Yeah? That's a pretty name. It don't rhyme with anything, but it's pretty, huh, Joe?
Yeah, it's all right.
Let's have the letter, Novak.
You got hold of a bad rumor, fella.
The one I got's good. Let's have it.
I don't want to strain your mind, Junior, but try to understand. I don't have a letter.
Ask him again.
Go on home, mister. You're not going to get anything out of me except a small tip. Now, if you're a good boy, I'll give you a nickel for your friend, too.
All right, Joe. Hold him up.
Yeah, just a minute.
He's got a head of hair. Hold him up.
All right, Mike, that's enough. That's enough.
All right, baby. Don't look so sorry you can't have everything.
It's easy to sleep if you got the right friends. When those two gallops were through, I hit the floor and made Rip Van Winkle look like an insomnia victim. I didn't like the floor, but it was in better shape than my face. I don't know how long I was there, but it must have been a couple of hours. I rolled over once and tried to get up, but it was like trying to barbecue a cake of ice. There was a sick, sweet smell in the room. I tried to place it, but my nose was out on strike, so I went to sleep again. The next thing I knew, it sounded like New Year's Eve.
Here you go, Patsy. Up on the couch.
What's the matter?
Nothing. If you're the kitchen stove, the room's full of gas.
Oh.
You ought to open the window if you're going to turn on the gas.
Some of my playmates, I guess.
Well, you weren't at the apartment, so I tried here.
Yeah. What time is it?
2:00. Who got the quaint idea of the gas chamber?
The girlfriend. It was love at first sight.
I see. Let's go home to bed.
I'm getting used to floors. That old man started a ball game, Jocko. When I mentioned John St. John to this girl, she turned banker and brought in the Gunsels.
Did she get the letter?
I left it at home.
Oh, you're getting smart.
Yeah. $300 worth. They lifted my dough.
Well, you couldn't have used it where you were going.
Yeah.
I've checked on that hit-and-run car. It's listed under the name of Sidney Bronson.
Has he got a record?
No.
Everybody's a beginner. Well, let's go home.
Oh, it'll be dull, but you'll get used to it. Wait till I wash my hands.
Yeah, go ahead.
Patsy!
Yeah?
What did your girlfriend look like? Was she the lively type?
Yeah. Why? What's the matter?
Because she's not anymore.
Yeah. Those Gunsels play rough.
She's kind of pretty. What did she do besides sending out vibrations?
I don't know. But she knew all about John St. John.
Yeah?
She picked up the bait like a hungry bass. Also, look at that ring.
How'd you get around to that?
The insignia on it. The same one that's on that envelope, spliced crosses.
Let's go home, Patsy. The police will be here.
Yeah. Even Hellman will know she's dead. Come on, we better go. On your way out the door, Jocko, try it sideways because I think it's blocked.
Hello, Novak. You look pale.
It's my color scheme. What do you care, Hellman?
None. She looks peaceful.
Yeah, be quiet or you'll wake her up.
I'll tiptoe. You always cut her throat before she goes to sleep? Who is she, Novak?
I don't know.
It's awful cozy here for a bunch of perfect strangers.
I don't know every dead girl in town, Hellman. You'll have to check.
You can still ride, can't you, Novak? That's all you'll need down at headquarters. Come on.
Oh, get out of the haze, Hellman. You don't know who's dead yet, but you're going to book somebody.
Yeah. What are you doing up here, appraising the joint?
I came up to find a guy named John St. John.
She doesn't look like a guy named John St. John.
She was my lead. I came up here to smell out a rat. She had a half Nelson on me when two Gunsels walked in.
They came up to fix the gas meter, I think.
You stay out of this.
I'll make every effort.
Now, if you're smart, you'll fingerprint this place, Hellman. These boys were cute. They've been in somebody's jail.
I'll handle my job. You stick to murder.
You'll go a long way to pin this on me, Hellman.
I can go a long way, Novak.
Not with what you got to drag.
We get a call in the middle of the night. Come up here and find you standing over a dead girl.
That's right.
And you want me to sprinkle powder all over. Back up and take a better look, Novak.
Oh, the view's fine, Hellman, and if you'll take a good look, you'll know why. You haven't got anything to give the DA except a slim lead and a fat hand. You're going to need help.
Not on this one.
You need help to find the street. Come on back to center, Hellman. Even with both hands, you couldn't
Yeah?
Forget it.
So take the medicine like a good boy. I'm not going to walk out and let the two of you tour the town. I'm going to book one or both of you on a murder charge.
All right. Book Jocko here, then.
I love you in a generous mood.
You got a string, then, Hellman. Somebody's got to find John St. John.
Who's going to find Jocko?
Oh, stop worrying. I'll bail you out.
You haven't got the right size heart, Novak. You'll let him die on the vine.
Hellman, sometimes you're guilty of unexpected wisdom. I know it's reflex action, but it's consoling anyway.
I want you, Novak. I want you bad. I'll take this guy as a down payment, but I'm going to close out with you. Remember that.
I will.
All right. Come on, mister.
Wait a minute. Patsy, you're not going to let him lug me off like this.
What else can I do? The guy likes you. It was a bum curve to throw Jocko, but somebody had to dig us out of a hole. Jocko wasn't the boy. You can't shovel dirt with a bar rag. Well, I had no idea where to start. There were 2 murders, and they were both tied up with this John St. John. He didn't look like a good guy to know. Then there was that insignia, too. The one on the letter and the one on the girl's ring. Sure, it could be a coincidence, but that's what they said about Bluebeard. The only thing I could do was open that letter, so I went back to the apartment. I didn't have to turn on the light. They were running in pairs tonight. She was sitting there on the couch, proud of a pair of long silk legs and smiling like a guy who knows he's got $1 million in the bank. She was blonde, too. A little more lemon juice, maybe, but blonde anyway. She was nice and comfortable, and I got the idea she'd just signed a lease.
Good evening. How do you do?
Not very well so far.
A sly remark, Mr. Novak?
No, I'm just bringing you up to date. Your girlfriend's dead.
Yes?
Yeah. The gas jet's out in the kitchen.
It is? I think that's supposed to be mysterious.
You clear it up, then. Find a name for yourself and a reason why you picked out my furniture.
Oh? Do you mind my being here?
I just want to know your name before I throw you out in the hall.
Mr. Novak, I'll bet you're awfully slow when it comes to throwing somebody out in the hall.
Not if they can bounce as well as I figure you can.
When you do throw me out, throw the letter out, too.
All right, now, I've already had a dress rehearsal. The answer's no.
Well, at least I know where you stand. By the way, why are you standing? Please sit down.
Yeah. Who's John St. John?
Don't be redundant, Mr. Novak.
Who is he? If you want that letter, you know him.
Just shout. I'd like you better if you could.
I don't need your vote. Who's John St. John?
I don't know him.
You want that letter because you collect stamps.
I want it. And you'll have to take my word. I don't know John St. John. Is it worth breaking your heart over?
Look, there's a good guy down in the clink sweating on a murder rap for me, so I want John St. John.
You've got nice friends.
Who's Sidney Bronson?
How does that fit into the picture?
This started with a waterfront corpse. The leftovers belonged to an old guy that was hit by a car. The car's registered in the name of Sidney Bronson.
Mr. Novak, you seem so intense. It's a pity to waste it on random speculation.
Now, look, I told you, lady, I got a friend in the jug.
Loyalty's a nice trait. One of your nicest.
Yeah.
You're a pretty thing, Patsy.
Let's don't get fooled by the rapper.
I'll take a chance.
Anybody ever brief you on trouble?
Mm-hmm. You're hard to see that far away. Come on over into focus, Patsy.
Yeah.
You're pretty, Patsy.
You look like you're on a bill of sale.
I'm the gentle kind, Novak. I'd just like to break your ribs.
Go ahead, I can get a brace.
Come here.
Yeah. What's on your mind?
What you're going to say when you find out about this gun?
Huh?
That's right, sweetheart. My finger isn't hollow. Back up and take a look at the gun.
You got to that purse, huh?
That's right.
You've ruined my confidence.
I'll give you a testimonial. In the meantime, I want the letter.
You go after everything the same way.
I want the letter.
It's in the desk. Come on. Right here in the top of the door. All right.
Don't stay away from...
I'm already here, lady. All right, now come on, drop the gun, sis.
Let go of my arms now.
That's your version.
Let go of me. Let go of me. What was that for?
A little something on the house. Now beat it.
Well, you've ruined my confidence.
You're lucky. Go on home.
You won't change your mind about that letter?
No.
Suit yourself. I'll be going. Oh, Patsy?
Yeah?
I can't help you on John St. John, but I wouldn't worry about that fellow, Sidney Bronson.
Why?
Because I'm Sidney Bronson. See you soon, Patsy.
That one sink in for a minute, but it got about as far as my brain and ran out of gas. She wasn't driving that murder car. Otherwise, she wouldn't get that talkie. It began to look like a big, fat, well-fed double-cross, and John St. John was holding up his end. I had to find out what was in that letter, so I made tracks for the bookcase. All I could do was browse because the letter was gone. Whoever took it didn't even leave a tip. I thought of the girl, but that didn't make sense. And I thought of John St. John. That made lots of sense. Things didn't look rosy for me or Jocko. I was about to buy a file and bake a cake when the phone rang. Yeah.
Hello, Novak.
Oh, Hellman.
The coroner got a report on that dead girl. She died at 12:30.
That's pretty close. What's he got, a stopwatch?
15 minutes either way. Those fingerprints panned out, too.
Yeah?
Couple of L.A. strong-arm men.
Well, that's new for L.A. You got a call out?
We already picked them up. Your favorite's named Welcome Danglers.
I could make a joke.
I already got one. They're set up with a perfect alibi for 12:30.
That means I killed the girl.
Nobody's arguing. I got some more news.
Yeah?
I'm out at Seal Rock.
You got the figure for it.
We just found an envelope floating around the water. It's one of yours. You better come on out.
You found an envelope, so what?
So the envelope turns out to be in some guy's pocket. Come on out.
Well, that only meant one thing. Whoever took that envelope out of my place got popular. It was getting late, so I grabbed a cab and rode out to the beach. When I got there, Hellman was standing down near the water. He had Jocko with him. The surf was rolling in, and Jocko wasn't much better.
Hello, Patsy.
Hiya, Jocko. How's jail?
Dry.
Thanks for coming, Novak. You're sweet.
Where's the envelope?
Here.
Yeah, the same one.
That makes you look good.
There was a letter in here. Did you take that with the guy's money, Hellman?
You got all there is.
This guy on the beach is the third one.
It's my opinion the case will solve itself. We're running out of people.
Who is the guy?
His name's Walter Avery. Here's his stuff.
Yeah, what's left? Well, this spliced cross really gets around.
Huh?
It keeps bobbing up. Here it is on the guy's fountain pen.
I'm going to run this guy through the morgue, and then I'm going to look you up, Novak.
Yeah?
Sure. We want you down with us.
That's right, Patsy. I'll introduce you to all the best people. Good night, lover.
Well, it was close to 5, so I tagged by my place for some sleep. I tossed around like a fish on the living room rug. Hellman called about 9 to throw more dust in my eyes. He said one of the airlines had a passenger to Portland named Walter Avery. Just to make it tough, the guy made the 12 o'clock plane and got off at Portland. Well, I had left field all to myself. I got dressed and looked up Sidney Bronson's number. There was no answer, so I went over. The place was locked, and I looked up the janitor. He wasn't going to let me in, but it turned out his wife had a birthday coming up. Sidney's apartment was real high-powered. I don't know where she got the dough, but I knew I wasn't going to find a tin cup and pencil. What I found was lots better. A card with that same insignia, the spliced cross. The card said Bellcrest Sanitarium, and down in the corner there was a guy's name, Dr. Emil Schoenig, psychiatrist. Vienna without the walls. The Bellcrest Sanitarium was down near San Carlos, so I borrowed a new Nash from a guy I know and headed down that way. Everything was fine until I got in the front door. They didn't even let me register. I woke up on a couch in Schoenig's office. It was dark outside, and my left arm was throbbing like a love story in a woman's magazine. The radiator sitting next to me was Sidney.
You're a deep sleeper.
I think I got some help. What happened to my arm?
Hypodermic. You only need one arm anyway.
In your case, I need a spare. Who did it?
Dr. Schoenig.
He's a darling boy. Where is he?
Out on the phone trying to figure out what to do with you.
What's that make me, a patient?
Well, that's one way of putting it. You made things easy. We were coming to you for the letter.
Huh? You want to try that over again?
We were on our way when you stumbled in.
You're wrong, Sid. Somebody's giving you a fast pitch. That letter was gone when you were up at my place.
I don't want a bum rib, Patsy. I want that letter.
You're trailing a field, Angel. I told you the letter's gone. A guy by the name of Walter Avery took it out of my place.
Walter Avery?
That's right, and somebody thanked him. They found him this morning making like a dead seal.
Walter Avery left for Portland last night.
A plant, sweetheart. You better read up on your friends.
Yeah. Thanks, Patsy.
I told you to watch him, Sid. You had more shots.
What's the difference?
None, I suppose. Why don't you mix us a drink while I talk to Mr. Novak?
I'll be right with you.
Well, Mr. Novak, you're one of my best patients.
That's because I like your needles. You better go easy on that drink.
Yes? Why?
You'll get drunk and run somebody down the way you did that guy on the waterfront.
Oh? A good guess. You should be proud. That's a good, sensible, final emotion.
Here's your drink, Abel.
Thank you, my dear. Here's to Mr. Novak. Sorry there's no drink for you, Mr. Novak.
You probably will be.
Huh?
Forget it.
Emil, I talked to Mr. Novak before you came in. He thinks you're a heel.
He does.
So do I.
Oh, I can stand it.
He told me about Walter Avery.
I'm sorry about that.
Walter got that letter. You killed him and took it. I was supposed to blunder around till you got rid of me, too. That's a bum joke, Emil.
You're getting hysterical.
With laughter, Emil. You put one of your boys on that plane. Only Novak aired the wash too fast.
Suppose I did. Somebody ought to bring you up to date, Sidney. You've been hanging on too long. The free ride's over. I might as well tell you now. You're all through. I can't a whole bunch of longer. And I'm all through.
Steady, Emil.
What's the matter with me? What's the matter with me, Sid?
Give him a hand, Novak. He just had a bad drink.
You wouldn't do that, Sid.
I'm full of surprises. You got a stomach full of poison. You got a stomach full of poison in 15 seconds, Abel. Put down that gun, Abel.
I want you to, Sid.
Please, Abel, put down the gun.
I will stop it. Stop. This happened kind of fast for an of us.
What's the noise, huh, Patsy?
Yeah. I'll get you a pillow.
I'd rather have your lap.
You get mercy, not love, baby.
Thanks for small favors. How do I look?
Not so good. That was the 3-2 pitch.
Yeah, I had it coming up. I'll tell you about John St. John.
I know. There was no such guy.
That's right. It was the name of the group.
Those spliced crosses?
Yes. Found out a little late. It's always that way. That's the way I found out about you.
Yeah?
Had a funny hunch about you and me. I found out a little late. But I know now, Patsy. Does that help?
St. John was the name of an organization buying and selling government information. That old man tried to tell me, but he checked out too fast. I began to figure something like that when those spliced crosses started showing up. Schoenig killed the old man in Sidney's car. He couldn't stop because I was around. The two girls and Walter Avery were both in on the deal. Schoenig knew who I was when he saw me go into my office. He tailed me to my place and left Avery there to look for the letter. He killed that girl up in the rooming house, and then he found out she didn't have the letter. When Avery showed up, he took it away from him and threw him to the fish. Schoenig was trying to shake Sidney by sending her up to my place after he had the letter. The scheme went haywire when I showed up at the sanitarium. He was trying to work himself out of that one when the payoff came. John St. John? Yeah, right from the start, Jocko said he was either dead or in the state pen, because anybody with a name like John St. John would have killed his parents as soon as he got old enough to find out about it. Worked out all right. They found the letter out at Schoenig's place. There were some plans for guided missiles and a few other trifles. Well, Hellman asked only one question. How come Schoenig didn't kill me before I could talk to the girl? Well, it's always that way with a guy who commits murder. Either he goes too far or he doesn't go far enough.
Armed Forces Radio Service has just brought you Pat Novak for Hire, starring Jack Webb. Pat Novak is produced by William P. Russo. Yako Madigan is played by Tudor Owen. Inspector Hellman is played by Raymond Burr. Music was composed and conducted by Basil Adams. Be with us again next week when over most of these same stations we'll bring you Pat Novak for Hire. Pat Novak for Hire was previously released by ABC, the American Broadcasting Company, for listeners in the United States, and rebroadcast for our men and women overseas. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call that a woman has been badly beaten. The circumstances indicate foul play. Your job? Check it out. The nation's top golfers and sports writers have named Ben Hogan Professional Golfer of the Year. Ben, of course, smokes Chesterfields. But let's hear what he has to say about them himself.
I'm a Chesterfield smoker and have been for 7 years. The reason's simple. Chesterfield is the best for me. They're milder, and they taste great. Try them yourself.
Take that suggestion from Ben Hogan today. Try Chesterfield, regular or king size. They're low in nicotine, highest in quality, really mild, really satisfying. Chesterfield, best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, November 17th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. We were on our way back from the main jail, and it was 11:27 p.m. when we got to room 42. Homicide.
We got to get that car radio fixed, Joe. It's getting worse all the time.
Yeah, well, we can take it over in the morning.
Thing almost knocked me right out of the seat when I called in tonight. As soon as you press the button, bang, you get a shot.
Yeah, well, I was out with Lopi yesterday. He picked up the mic. I thought he was going to climb right out of the window.
Yeah, well, that's pretty funny as long as you don't have to use the thing.
There must be a short someplace, huh?
Got to get it fixed. You know, I must have used $1 worth of dimes calling in today. If this keeps up, I'm going to have to give up lunches.
Well, that wouldn't hurt you either.
That's not kind, Joe. I've lost 7 pounds in the last 2 weeks.
Where?
I'm going to see about a transfer.
Well, let's finish up this report so we can get out of here. What do you say?
Okay, I'm with you.
Hot shot, I get it. There's a robbery call, bar out in Olympic.
Oh, thought for a minute we were going to have to go out. All I want to do is get home and get some dry socks on. My feet are killing me.
Yeah, well, I got an idea. If you'll stop talking and pick up a pencil, we can quit on time for a change. Another hot shot.
I'll get it. Get your hat. Bleeding out in Hollywood.
Yeah?
Woman found her laying in the gutter.
She's still alive?
Was when they got the call. We better step on it, though. They don't know how long she's going to last.
When we got to the address we'd been given by the complaint board, 2 radio cars from Hollywood Division were already there. An ambulance had arrived, and the crew was doing what they could for the victim. She was still alive, but the attendant said that she appeared to have a skull fracture in addition to possible internal injuries. From one of the officers who answered the call, we found that the victim had been sprawled across the sidewalk, her head in the gutter. Due to the heavy rain, a stream of water was running down and into a storm drain. The fact that the drain was above the victim's head appeared to be the only thing that saved her from drowning. The crime lab had been called, and the men from Hollywood Division were doing what they could to keep the crowd back in order to preserve any physical evidence that might have been left. The victim appeared to be a woman in her early 40s. The clothes she wore looked expensive, but they were badly torn. Her face was cut, and the men in the ambulance crew removed her immediately to Hollywood Emergency Hospital for treatment. An officer was assigned to her in the event she regained consciousness. When she was found, her left shoe was missing, and there was no sign of any purse or wallet. None of the people who'd gathered in the crowd could give us an identification of her. The homes in the vicinity were large, and the area was sparsely populated. The nearest house to the place where the victim was found was at least 300 feet down the street. We talked to the people in the crowd and found that the man who'd made the original call was still supposed to be there. We checked with the officers in the radio unit, but they said they hadn't seen him. From them, however, we found that the call had been from the home of a Mr. and Mrs. Roger Heflin. We contacted them, and they came back to the scene and pointed out the man. Frank and I took him over to our car for questioning.
All right, Johnson, you want to tell us what happened?
I don't know.
You called the police, didn't you?
Yeah, I called them.
You found her?
Yes, sir. She was lying in the street like that. I got scared and I called the police. I thought maybe she was dead.
What were you doing up here this time of night?
Just walking around.
You live up here, do you?
No.
Where do you live?
Got a room down at Fountain.
Let me see your identification, will you, please?
Oh, yeah. Here's my wallet.
Any money in it?
No.
All right, let me have it.
Yeah, here you are.
This your true name? Cecil August Johnson?
Yeah.
Who's Mary Johnson? I say, who's Mary Johnson? Who's she?
My sister.
Is her address here on the card?
Yeah. Hey, you aren't going to call her, are you? You aren't going to call her.
Why?
Well, she'd be pretty sure about it if you did. She don't like it for me to get mixed up with cops. She don't like it at all.
You ever been in an institution? State institution. You ever been in one?
Yeah. I was in Camarillo once.
How long ago did you get out?
Oh, long time ago. 3 days. Long time ago. I haven't been there for a long time.
What were you there for?
Molesting people.
Who?
I was in Camarillo.
Why'd they send you there, fella?
To get well.
From what?
Just well.
Yeah, we know. What'd they want you to get well from?
I was never in Camarillo.
You haven't been drinking tonight, have you? I said you've been drinking.
Yeah, a little bit.
Where?
Bar down Highway Boulevard.
When they sent you to the hospital, what was the reason?
I never been to hospital.
You told us that you'd been in Camarillo.
Well, that was to get well.
Now, look, fella, we asked you before. What for?
They thought I was molesting people.
Were you?
No, I didn't hurt anybody.
Did they say you did?
Yeah.
Who?
A lady. They said I hit her.
Did you hit her?
Huh?
I said, did you hit the woman?
No, I never hurt anybody.
You know who the woman is that you found?
You're going to call my sister, are you?
Do you know who the woman is?
What woman?
Now, look, fella, pay attention. The one you found tonight.
Yeah, I've known her for a long time.
What's her name?
Grace.
You know her last name?
Do you know her last name?
No. You know, I never really been in Camarillo. I just told you that.
That's so? Why?
I don't know. Just sometimes I like to do things like that. I don't have no reason. I just like to do it. Like, once I told my sister I killed a man. She almost fainted. I just like to do that once in a while. Things get dull. I like to get them started.
Where'd you meet Grace?
Bar down in Hollywood. I go in there all the time. I met her there.
Did you meet her there tonight?
Yeah, she was there. Said she had a fight with her old man. Said they had a real beef. She told me he hit her. Belted her right in the mouth. What do you think of a guy do a thing like that to a woman? Any man do a thing like that, he's no good. No good at all. They said I did it, too. Told my sister I hit a woman.
Who said that?
Other cops when they arrested me.
When was this?
When I was at Camarillo to get well.
You under a doctor's care now?
No, I got real well at Camarillo, real well. They let me go.
You just got through telling us that you'd never been there.
I'm a liar. You can't believe anything I say. I'm a real liar. My sister's all the time saying that about me. She says I'm a liar. That's one of the reasons she used to get sore at me. I'm such a liar. I was never there.
You know where this Grace lived?
No. I think it was up on Ledgewood Drive. I think that's where it was, on Ledgewood Drive.
You know where the house is?
Mm-mm. I never saw it. I was going to go up there one day and punch your old man in the nose, because he hit Grace. I was plenty sore about it. He gave her a black eye. I was plenty sore. But I didn't. You know why?
You tell us.
Because I thought my sister'd get mad at me. She always gets mad when I get in fights. And when I lie. She'd get real sore. She's got no sense of humor.
Yeah.
There's a guy at the hospital who had a real sense of humor. He was funny. He had a piece of inner tube and he wore it like a hat. Floppy, He had a real great sense of humor. But my sister, she don't like anybody to laugh.
How many times you been arrested, fella?
Maybe a couple.
Here in Los Angeles?
Yeah. All the time in L.A. Cops here don't like me. They got no sense of humor. None. I never saw such dull cops.
All right, Johnson, you wait here. We've got a few things to check out, and then we want to take you downtown.
You aren't going to arrest me, are you?
We'll see.
Well, I hope not. My sister, she'd be real sore.
Johnson? Tell me something. Did you hit her?
You mean, did I hit Grace? Is that what you mean?
That's what I mean.
No. I met her tonight, and she asked me to take a walk with her. To take a walk, that's all. Then all of a sudden, she was lying on the ground. I was pretty drunk. I didn't know what happened. Just all of a sudden, she was there, and I got scared, and I called the cops. But I didn't hit her. I wouldn't do a thing like that to Grace, not me. You believe that, don't you? Well, don't you? You got to buy it. You got it, because it's the truth.
All right.
Sure. It's the truth. Every word.
Well, you said it yourself, didn't you? You're an awful liar. 12:52 a.m. Well, one of the officers from a radio unit stood by with Cecil Johnson. We talked with Lieutenant Lee Jones from the crime lab. He told us that what footprints they'd found in the immediate vicinity of the victim had been destroyed by the rain. He told us that his crew was unable to find any useful physical evidence. The area was searched, but we failed to find either the missing left shoe or the woman's purse, if she'd carried one. We put in a call to the Hollywood Receiving Hospital. Dr. Elwyn Terrell told us that the victim was suffering from a fracture of the skull and apparently several broken ribs. He told us that the woman was in a deep coma and she couldn't be questioned at that time. We asked him to contact us through the business office in the event that she regained consciousness. We questioned the people in the neighborhood, but they were of no aid. None of them recalled hearing any automobiles on the streets, and none of them could testify as to the people loitering in the area. 1:10 a.m. We took Cecil Johnson and had him detained at the city jail pending further investigation. A check of his record showed that he'd been sent to Camarillo twice on charges of molesting and violation of Section 245 PC. He'd been released into the custody of his sister 3 weeks previously. Before he was placed in a cell, we got the name and address of the bar where he said he'd met the woman he called Grace. 1:40 a.m. Frank and I drove out to the place. It was located on Hollywood Boulevard near Las Palmas Avenue. There was only one other customer in the place when we went in. The bartender was cleaning up for the night.
What'll it be?
We're looking for Abel.
I'm him. What do you want? It's not about that lousy Jackie, is it?
What's that?
You're cops, aren't you? Isn't this about Jackie?
We're police officers, yeah.
You got to understand, I thought he was an actor. I thought he was just hanging around the place to take work calls. That's what he told me. I didn't have no way of knowing different. It's the truth.
We don't know anything about Jackie. We'd like to ask you some questions about a man named Cecil Johnson.
That crackpot? I thought you were after me because of Jackie. Oh, there it goes again. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah, it is. No, he ain't here anymore. What? I don't care how the horse did. Jackie ain't here. Now, don't call me no more. You see, this guy Jackie's a book. All the time he's using my phone, and I don't know it. Yesterday, a couple of cops come in and put the arm on him. All day, the phone's been ringing.
Yeah.
From what they say, he's lucky he got arrested. He must have lost his shirt yesterday. Horse came in that paid 20 to 1. Boy, he really must have had it.
I see. Now, what do you know about this Cecil Johnson?
A creep. A real creep.
Did you see him tonight?
Yeah, he was in.
About what time?
Let's see, it was just before the fight on TV. That'll make it about 6:45. Yeah, about then, about 6:45.
He come in alone?
Oh, yeah, always does. He don't have no friends.
What time did he leave, do you remember?
Oh, we stayed around and watched the fight. Got into an argument with the guy. Then he left about, let's see. I guess it must have been about 9:30, 9:45.
You know a woman named Grace? We understand she's in here quite a bit.
Grace, huh? Well, we got a couple of Graces come in here. What's yours look like?
About 42, dark hair, wearing a tweed coat.
Excuse me a minute, huh?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah, it is. No, he's not here. He won't be back, so stop calling. I don't care if it did pay that. Look, Bud, I got no part in the action. Now, forget the number, huh? Jackie's gone. He's in the can. Yeah, he's pinched. Now, lay off, huh? Now, let's see. Dark hair, tweed coat. Oh, yeah, that'll be Grace Dillon.
Dillon?
Yeah, she's pretty much of a regular.
D-I-L-L-O-N.
Yeah, I guess so. D-I-L-L-O-N. I guess that's the way to spell it. Well, what's all the questions? Something wrong?
What time was she in here tonight?
Who says she was?
Well, that's what we understand.
Oh. Oh, yeah, well, there's nothing wrong around here. No reason not to cooperate. She was here, come in about 8.
What time did she leave?
Well, I guess it was 9:30, 9:45.
She leave alone?
I gotta think about that.
All right.
Lots of people in here with the fights, you know. Let me think. I'm gonna tear that thing right out of the wall. He ain't here. He's been pinched. I don't know when he'll be back, and I don't care. You know, come to think about it, I think she left with that Cecil.
Johnson?
Yeah.
Did either one of them have much to drink, do you know?
Well, Cecil had a couple of beers. It's all he needs. Don't take much with him.
How about the Dillon woman?
She was feeling no pain when she got here. Really carrying a load. I finally told her to take a walk, told her I couldn't serve her no more. That's when she left. Her and Cecil were sitting right there next to each other. When I told her I wouldn't pour no more for her, she got hacked and her and Cecil left.
You know where she lives?
Not right off. I can look it up. We keep a list of people who come in here. Send them announcements about things, like when we get a new piano player, things like that.
I see.
I can look it up for you. Just take a minute.
Fine, thanks.
C, A, B, C. Oh, here it is. Darby, Dexter, Dibbs. I wished he'd come in and pick up the tab again. Oh, let's see. Here it is. 2917 Ledgewood Drive.
2917. Thank you.
You can take the card if you want. Don't make any difference to me if she never comes back. The way she carried on tonight. People just don't understand.
What's that?
You can just serve them so much. After that, you're pouring 100-proof trouble. You got to shut them off sometime.
Uh-huh. She ever come in here with her husband?
Dillon?
Yeah.
A couple of times. Quite a while ago, though. They came in late one night, sat back there in the booth, had a couple of quick belts. He drinks Irish whiskey, likes it neat. They had a big beef. I finally had to go back and ask him to go out. He's a real bum. He's mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The kind of guy where to know him is to hate him. You know the kind?
Yeah.
He ain't here. I don't care how much you lost. He's in the can. What? Oh, yeah, honey. Well, I didn't know it was you. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'll be home early as soon as I close up. Right. Yeah, well, I do, too. What? All right, honey. I love you. I do, too, mean it. Look, honey, there's a couple of men here I got to talk to, huh? Well, yeah, as soon as I close up, yeah. Goodbye, honey. What? Oh, yeah, all right. There, bye. It's the wife. We've just been married a couple of weeks. She's kind of, you know.
Yeah. Did Dillon ever hit his wife, would you know?
Yeah, he did. She came in here one night with a mouse that had no end. Said her old man gave it to her. Say, what's all this about anyway? There's something wrong with Grace? Something happened to her?
Well, we don't know yet.
Well, let me give you this for free. If there's anything happened to her, 6-2 and even was her old man. He's a real bum. He's mean. Anything wrong, and it's him that caused it. You better talk to him. You'll find out.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, we will. Thanks.
No, not at all. Glad to help out.
All right. Good night.
Say, you guys going downtown?
Yeah, that's right.
To the jail?
Yeah.
Well, if you see Jackie, will you give him a message for me?
All right. What's that?
Tell him if he gets out, I don't want him back here no more.
Okay.
Guy ties up my phone.
2:26 a.m. We got a description of the victim's husband and checked the name through R&I. We were unable to come up with any criminal record on him. Frank and I drove out to the address given us by the bartender. It was a large English stucco house 5 blocks from where Grace Dillon had been found. We rang the bell and waited. An elderly woman answered the door and told us that Herman Dillon was not in. She explained that she was a babysitter and that she'd been called to take care of the couple's 3 children. She went on to say that Mr. Dillon left the house at approximately 10:15 p.m. and had not yet returned. We called the office and arranged for a stakeout to be set up on the house. While we waited for the officers to arrive, the babysitter told us that the Dillons had constant fights. She said that on several occasions, Mr. Dillon had threatened to kill his wife if she didn't spend more time at home taking care of the children. She went on to explain that there'd been an argument that evening, and that after a loud fight, the wife had left the house. After she'd been gone for over an hour, Herman Dillon left to find her. 3:02 a.m. The officers arrived. We asked them to wait for the husband to return and then to notify us immediately. Frank and I drove downtown and checked into the crime lab. We talked with Lieutenant Lee Jones regarding his findings. He told us that he'd gone over the victim's clothing, but he was unable to find any physical evidence to help us in finding her assailant. 3:46 a.m. We checked into the office and put in a call to the hospital.
How do you spell that, Doc? Huh? Yeah. A-D-E. Yes, sir. Well, do you have any idea when that might be? I see, sir. Mm-hmm. Well, if you'll let us know. Right.
Yeah, the business office here will know how to reach us. Right. Thanks again. Good night, Doc.
How is she?
Well, the doctor says he's finished his examination. She's got a frontal bone fracture, 3 broken ribs, cuts, and contusions.
She going to be all right?
Yeah, you think so. So she might come out of it any time. Says it looks like she might have been thrown from a car.
Well, that'd explain the missing shoe and purse, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You have any idea when we can talk to her?
No, might not do any good anyway.
What do you mean?
Well, the doc says this kind of fracture can produce a retrograde amnesia.
Huh?
She won't remember anything.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
It's taking place at your dealers, cigarette dealers coast to coast. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. Join them today, and you'll be smoking the only cigarette that gives you proof of low nicotine, highest quality. I want you to know that's a matter of record. And so is this. As I've been telling you, Chesterfield is the only cigarette with this proven record with smokers. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Good reasons why you should change to Chesterfield? You bet. Ask for Chesterfield, regular or king size, best for you.
A.m. Frank and I signed out of the office and we went home. At 5:13 a.m., I got a call that the husband of the victim, Herman Dillon, had returned home. The officers who called said that they were bringing him down to the city hall. I got in touch with Frank, and by the time we got to the squad room, Dillon was already there. He appeared dazed and acted as if he'd been drinking heavily. We sent out for some black coffee for him. He apparently didn't know what had happened to his wife.
What's all this about, anyway? What are you dragging me out of my house like this for?
Got a few questions we want to ask you, Dillon.
What do you got that's so important you got to go through it at 6 in the morning?
When'd you see your wife last?
About 7:30 last night. Why?
How do you and your wife get along?
We've been married for 10 years.
Not much of an answer, mister.
You're not married. Been married 10 years, and it's an answer. Been married 10 years, it's all the answer you need.
Well, maybe you better spell it out for me.
After that long, you have a few disagreements. Bound to. You know, being together all that time.
You and your wife have a disagreement last night, did you?
Yeah, we had a discussion.
What about?
I don't think that's any of your business.
Yeah, well, maybe it is. Now, what'd you argue about?
Her running around. Wasn't a real argument, just a discussion.
The way we got it, it was more than that.
And you got it wrong.
We heard you hit her a couple of times.
That's a lie. I might have shoved her a little. She had it coming, though, all the time running around. We got 3 kids, 3 little kids, and she doesn't care that for them. Always going out, hanging around those cheap bars, boozing it up. I came home the other night. She'd walked out and left the kids all alone, all by themselves. Didn't even get a sitter for them.
Where you been tonight?
Why? Why do you have to know that?
You want to tell us?
Yeah. After Grace and me had the fight, she walked out. I waited for her to come home. Then when she didn't, I went out to find her.
Did you? Did you find her?
No, I looked all over for her. All the bars along the boulevard, but she wasn't there.
Where you been since the bars closed?
Walking around.
In all this rain?
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out what to do, trying to make up my mind.
About what?
What I should do with Grace. Things can't go on like this. They just can't.
We've heard from some of your wife's friends that you made threats in their life. Is that right?
Who told you that?
We just heard it. Is it true?
I suppose so. If I'd have found her tonight, I'd have maybe killed her. I've never been so mad before.
You see anybody you knew tonight?
What?
When you were walking around, did you see anybody you knew?
No, why?
When you got no way to prove where you were.
Why'd I have to do that?
Might make things easier on you.
Hey, what's this all about, anyway? Why are you asking all these questions about me and Grace? What are you trying to say? Where is Grace, you know?
Yeah?
Well, where is she? What's happened to her?
She's in the hospital. She had an accident. It's pretty bad.
What kind of an accident?
Looks like she was beaten.
And you think I did it?
Might have been you.
She lied?
Yeah.
You think I beat her up?
Did you?
No. I maybe wanted to, knock some sense into her, but I didn't do it.
You prove where you were tonight?
Why?
Can you prove where you were?
No, I don't even know myself. Hey, you really think I did it?
That's what we're trying to find out.
You know, I was pretty drunk tonight. I got real loaded. That's a terrible part.
Yeah, let me see your hands, will you?
Why?
Let me see them.
All right.
Put them up there, both of them.
Here.
Where'd you get those bruises?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You better try. This is pretty important.
I told you I was drunk.
There's only one thing that'll put bruises like that on your hands.
Yeah?
You hit something pretty hard. Herman Dillon was detained pending further investigation. We'd called the hospital, but there was no change in Mrs. Dillon's condition. Because of the lack of physical evidence, her testimony was essential in apprehending the person who'd beaten her. We had two prime suspects. Cecil Johnson, who was known to have been in her company when she left the bar. Johnson's record indicated that he was capable of committing the crime. On the other hand, the victim's husband had stated that he might kill her. He was unable to explain his movements at the time of the attack. The only person who could tell us the true story was the victim herself, and we had the doctor's statement that she might not remember the events immediately leading up to the beating. At 10:14 a.m. the following morning, the officer called from the hospital telling us that Mrs. Dillon had regained consciousness and could be questioned. The doctor told us that she was calling for her husband and asked that we bring Dillon with us. We went by the city jail and picked him up, and then we drove over to the hospital. The doctor told us that Mrs. Dillon was in a weak condition and that we couldn't talk to her at any length. Frank, Dillon, and I went into her room and waited for her to open her eyes.
Is that you, Herman?
Yes, dear.
You're not mad at me, are you? You're not still mad at me?
No, dear, I'm not.
Oh, that's good. I was afraid you still were mad. You know, Herman, you shouldn't have hit me like you did. I know maybe I had a reason, but you shouldn't have hit me.
Can you tell us what happened, Mrs. Dillon?
Who are you?
Police officers.
What are you doing here?
Trying to find out who did this to you.
It wasn't anybody did it.
Ma'am?
It wasn't anybody. I did it myself. Silly did it all by myself.
I don't believe I understand, Miss Dillon.
Herman and me had a fight, and I walked out. I was going to leave him. I went down and had a few drinks, just a few, and I got to thinking about me and Herman, how I was such a bad wife. I got to thinking about the kids and how I was a bad mother. You aren't still mad at me, are you, Herman? Really, in your heart?
No, Grace, I'm glad you're going to be all right. That's all that counts.
You want to tell us what happened, Miss Dillon, please?
I was on my way home. I was going back. Cecil was walking home with me. It was raining pretty hard, and we came to a gutter that was full of water. I stepped up on the curb to go around it. I didn't want to step in the water, and I fell. Fell down the hill, rolled all the way to the bottom, all the way to the next street. I remember falling. I remember laying in the street down below and how I couldn't move. I didn't know about anything else after that. Until just when you got here, Len, I don't remember much of anything.
You mean that you fell down yourself, that nobody beat you up, huh?
No. Herman hit me when I was home. He got mad at me and hit me. But he was right. You were right, honey, real right. But it's going to be different, I promise you. Just as long as you ain't still mad at me, that's all that matters, that you ain't mad.
Now, take it easy, honey. Everything's going to be all right. Just take it easy and try to get some sleep.
I love you, Herman. I love you very much. And I'm going to make it all up to you, all the bad times. I'm going to make it all up to you.
I love you too, Grace. Now, you go to sleep. Get some rest.
All right, honey.
All right, thank you, Miss Dillon. We better go.
You going to want me anymore, Sergeant?
No, I don't think so.
Wonder if she means it. If she really does.
What's that?
About making it up to the kids, how things are going to be different.
Well, I don't know. She said she would.
That's just it. She said it so many times before.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 18th, a meeting was held in the captain's office homicide division. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we've been getting letters from people all over the country telling us that they've switched to Chesterfield. Now, just as I've been telling you, thousands of smokers are changing to Chesterfield because only Chesterfield gives proof of low nicotine, highest quality. That's why I recommend you try them today. Regular or king size, Chesterfields are really mild, really satisfying. Best for you.
Since no crime had been committed, no legal action was taken against Mr. and Mrs. Dillon. Cecil August Johnson was removed to Room 5, Georgia Street Receiving Hospital for further psychiatric examination. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Jack Crucian, Vivi Janis, Harry Bartell. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke, with Fatima tips of perfect cork. King size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today.
Hear Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
My name's Jeff Regan. I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Lyon. Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, Investigator, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of Cain and Abel and the Santa Maria.
This is the way it started. It was one of those cold, clammy mornings that the Chamber of Commerce doesn't like to have in print. I was in my place working on a 4-minute egg that tasted like a boiled golf ball when the phone began bouncing. I let it ring a while, and I got to thinking that it might be an old-fashioned girl who knew how to cook. It was the Lion. Hello, Regan talking.
This is me. I've been working all morning.
I'll buy you a time clock. Get to the point.
This is our lucky day. I just talked to Dun & Bradstreet.
How are they?
Now, don't be funny. We got a new client, and they tell me when the Treasury Department gets in trouble, they come to him.
Yeah?
The guy's name is Abel Roderick. Got a special from him an hour ago. He asked for a man, and I'm sending you, Regan.
You're sending me where?
His ranch. He raises horses.
Horses don't talk. What's bothering him?
Maybe it's his wife. Tell me she's got a pair of legs she'll never forget. He just said he wanted an operator out there by 12 o'clock.
You never learn, do you?
This means no.
What else does it mean?
We'll go as far as homicide and arson when they got pockets as long as his.
Money all you ever think about?
Yeah, you learn something when you're as old as I am. That's all there is to think about.
Well, then get yourself another boy and start teaching him. I don't learn easy.
Now, just a minute. That's no attitude.
Taking somebody's check before you know who's who and what's what means trouble.
Jeffrey, please. You misunderstand me. I wouldn't jeopardize your bond or the good reputation of International by accepting an unreliable client.
Look, last week that guy had a record longer than a roll of ticker tape.
I've been with Harry Presidio all morning. He knows Abel Roderick.
Yeah.
He's the grandson of Gallant Roderick. Name used to be Rodriguez. One of our finest old California families. Jeffrey, he's a gentleman like yourself.
Oh, that's nice.
He needs our assistance. Well?
All right, where is it?
Inland route between here and Santa Ana. Take Firestone.
Yeah?
Now, you run out there and see what Mr. Roderick wants. And, Jeffrey.
I know.
Call me, Jeffrey. Call me if you run into any trouble.
Well, when the Lion hung up, he sounded as happy as a chorus girl with a new mink coat. Well, he's a smart guy, I guess, but he uses check stubs for a telephone directory. Well, the home of Abel Roderick wasn't too hard to find. All I had to do was to get out on the highway and look for a hill. That's where it was. One of those old Spanish-type places with a block of porches, windows, and lots of iron grill work. 20 years ago, it might have rated the good home section, but now you couldn't tell where the grass stopped and the weeds began. kind of used up and sad, like a derby winner with a broken leg. A tall blonde guy, about 30, in a black polo shirt, was stretched out on a beach chair in the front porch. He pulled off his dark glasses and watched me get out of the car and come up the steps. And he gave me one of those looks, like he was already tired of knowing me.
We don't want any.
How do you know?
We never want anything. Go away.
I'm here to see Abel Roderick. You him?
No.
But he lives here, doesn't he?
Yes. Who are you?
My name's Regan.
So?
I want to see him.
Go ahead. See him.
Everybody as nice as you.
Oh, I got a merit badge for being the nicest. What did you say your name was?
Regan.
What did you say you wanted to see him about?
I didn't say.
Well, it's too hot to play games, so I'll tell you. I don't like you and he won't like you.
Well, now, what am I supposed to do? Roll down the stairs?
It might help, baby.
Well, where'd you find him, Cain?
Janie, this is Mr. Regan. He came to see your husband. I guess he has business with him.
Hello, Mr. Regan. Is Abel expecting you?
At 12.
You're 10 minutes late.
Well, I'm still trying to see him.
He's in the study. Come on.
I'll see you later, Regan.
I thought I knew all of Abel's business acquaintances, but I don't remember you.
Oh, no, I'm a new one.
What do you do?
A lot of things.
You're very interesting, Mr. Regan.
Mm-hmm.
Will you be coming here often?
I don't know.
I hope so.
You keep your husband in a vault?
I'd like to. You're cute. Here we are. This is Abel's study. I guess he stepped out for a moment. Would a drink take off the rough edges?
Might.
Good. I'll make you one.
Okay. Where are the horses?
Horses? We gave that up a long time ago. We've given up a lot of things, Mr. Regan. Let's not worry about that. Where's the train?
Thanks. That blonde boy out on the porch doesn't like me.
Okay. Doesn't like anybody. But let's not worry about him either.
You're crowding me.
Don't you like to be crowded?
It all depends on whose wife is doing it.
You're worried about Abel?
I'm drinking his whiskey.
I've never had any complaints.
I don't see why you should.
What kind of a nasty crack is that?
You figure it, lady.
Mister, nobody talks to little Jamie like that.
Hello, my dear. Introduce me to our visitor.
Oh, Abel. This is Mr. Regan, darling. He says he has business with you.
Regan? Oh, Regan. Yes, of course. How do you do, Mr. Regan? I'm Abel Roderick.
How are you?
I see Janie's made you comfortable with a drink, so we can get right down to business. Oh, Janie, my dear, why don't you ask Cain if he'd like to play some tennis?
You're not very subtle, darling, but I was just leaving.
That's a good girl.
I hope to see you again.
Don't let her worry you, Regan. It's an act.
Do I look worried?
She's lovely, and if you're young and tall and Janie's around, she adopts you.
I wasn't an orphan.
She'll be sulky all day now. Well, thanks for coming out. I hope you can help me.
Well, so far, I don't even know who's on the team.
A man in my alleged position is quite often the object of subterfuge. You can understand that.
Well, you mean because you got money, yeah.
To be quite frank, I have no money, Mr. Regan.
That's going to come as a shock to somebody I know.
Who?
Never mind. Go on.
It's my grandfather, Gallant Roderick. He controls all of the wealth in this family.
You his front man?
The eldest son of a son. And I live in this deplorable old shack waiting for grandfather to die.
How long you been waiting?
Too long, Mr. Regan. But I'm past 40 now. I don't know how to do anything else, so I continue to wait. Along with my devoted brother, Cain, who has the same thing to look forward to.
Yeah, I met him.
If you think he's bad, you should meet my grandfather. He fitted us with these charming names, Cain and Abel.
Well, what's all this got to do with me?
Here. Look at these.
Mm-hmm.
2 little ships of silver. Perfect replicas of the Pinta and Nina, named after Columbus's fleet.
Yeah, you can't buy stuff like that anymore. Not even on a time plane.
Hardly. 20 years' work on the part of an ancient silversmith in Madrid. And a prized possession of the Rodriguez family for 7 generations. My great-great-great-grandmother wore them on her wedding dress.
Where's the other one?
You've guessed it, Mr. Regan. The Santa Maria is missing. Janie wore it to Ciro's night before last.
Did she lose it?
Nothing so simple. It was stolen.
How?
Oh, she was with Cain. It was late when they got back. A masked man stopped their car on the turnoff. According to Janie, he was very polite, merely removed the Santa Maria, took nothing else.
What about Cain?
He was passed out. Janie was driving. Regan, the usual thing is for me to get a telephone call and have an opportunity to buy it back. Isn't that right?
Well, a heist job usually works that way, yeah.
Well, I haven't been contacted. I'm getting worried.
What did your insurance company say?
My grandfather owns the insurance company. I've told no one but you.
You don't want him to know about it, huh?
Well, he might cut me off if he thinks I've been careless. Well, what do you advise me to do?
Wait for that phone call and buy it back.
I'm willing to buy it back, but the truth of the matter is grandfather will be in from the east this week. And the first thing he does when he comes out here is ask to see those ships.
Well, now, look, whoever pulled the job couldn't unload a thing like that without being caught. And if he melted it down, he'd be lucky to get $50. He's as bad off as you are.
Do you think you could hurry it up?
Well, I know a couple of people.
Then you'll try and contact them for me.
I'll do what I can.
Oh, thank you, Regan. Now we just sit back and wait for my ship to come in. Bad joke, huh?
I left him sitting there in that big room. He looked about as happy as a St. Bernard with a stomachache. Well, he'd have probably felt worse if he'd have been outside on the porch. Janie was there with his brother, only they didn't hear me. Well, maybe they were just checking each other for broken ribs. I didn't bother to ask. Out on the highway, about a mile from the place, a 49 Nash picked me up. I turned off a couple of times on those little roads to make sure, but he stuck with me. Once he got real close, but he was wearing dark glasses and a straw hat, and could have been Whistler's mother for all I knew. When I pulled into the lot by our building about 3 o'clock, he drifted along with the Broadway traffic. I took his license number, and then I backed out and drove over to 3500 Hope Street.
So I said, wait till I go see my friend Moriarty. Okay, buddy, well, let's see.
I want to trace a license number.
Accident?
No.
Damn, huh? Try with the 11.
Thanks.
Next.
I want to know who's registered for these plates right here.
4E7542. This year?
Yeah. I'm a private detective. I think it might be connected with a case.
Yeah. Makes you think that.
Well, the car followed me this afternoon.
Yeah.
Just tell me who owns it, will you?
Then what?
Well, then I'm going to write you a letter.
I don't collect stamps.
You worked here too long, lady.
You telling me. 6 years I collected fines A through G. Now I'm doing this. Thanks, huh?
Who does the car belong to?
Oh, I gotta look. A lot of cars in Los Angeles. Thousands of cars. Mad months would blow his brains out if he knew just how many cars there really are around this town. Well, Ruby DeRoy knows, mister, and don't you forget it. 4E7542 belongs to a guy named Richard I. Chambers.
Address?
Hotel De Soto.
Thanks.
Come back anytime, doll. Glad to help you out.
The name Richard I. Chambers meant about as much to me as a shipload of stale bread, but it didn't take 20/20 vision to see that there was a connection. And the whole thing was phony. It was like cutting your leg off to cure your bunions. Well, I went back to the office and checked with the Lion.
Okay, Regan, give it to me.
It's a heist. One of the family heirlooms.
Into our meat. When was it lifted?
2 nights ago.
Any contacts yet?
No, none. That's why it's screwy.
What do you mean, screwy?
Well, it was a little silver ship called the Santa Maria. Now, they'd have to sell it back to Roderick or go on release.
Where does that leave us?
With another bum case.
Now, don't say a thing like that.
Well, your dope on Roderick was secondhand.
Tell me.
His grandfather keeps the keys.
How do you know?
Roderick said so.
You shouldn't let out family secrets. Now, you let me worry about that. Just find his little ship.
Yeah.
Guy called a half hour ago, left the number for you.
Chambers?
Yeah, who told you?
Who did?
I want you to phone him.
Never mind, skip that. I know where to get him. Things began to move. That meant that all the cards were out and somebody was asking for bets. Over at the DeSoto Hotel, the clerk told me that 305 belonged to Chambers. He was a little guy, about a head shorter than Margaret O'Brien. He He shoved 3 inches of nose out at me through a crack in the door.
All I left went for you to phone.
You, Chambers?
I was having a beauty nap. Come back in an hour.
Yeah, you need it.
Look out. Hey, what is this? Oh, tough guy, yeah? All right, you're tough. I think you're a bum.
All right, simmer down, Junior. You'll never make Eagle Scout.
Oh, you're so good. I gotta take that from you, huh?
We're gonna talk.
What makes you think so?
Everybody's grown up now.
Dickie Chambers talks when he feels like talking.
All right, Squirt, have it your way.
Hey, that kind of stuff ain't going to get you nothing, Regan.
Your weight's up, Dickie. You got a different job now.
Says you're a bum.
You tell me today.
Ask your mother.
What you want me to phone about?
Wrong track, Gumshoe. The 2 buck windows downstairs.
You're in this somewhere, and I want to know where.
You through being tough, Regan?
No. I'll let the boys in the personnel division handle you.
What do you mean?
That shiv on your dress is about an inch too long to be legal.
Call him. See where it gets you.
I'll send you a nickel later.
Okay, I'll open. Just that I don't like to get shoved around, that's all.
Why didn't you figure that before you got tangled up?
On your contact.
All right, come on. Let's put the show on the road. How much does it cost?
$5,000 and 10s and 20s.
Go on.
Tonight, 10 o'clock. You come with him.
Where?
Mile this side of Santa Ana Airport. Little road turns left off 101. Drive 2 miles and park.
And then what?
Well, if you got the $5,000, you don't try anything funny. He gets his little silver ship back.
That it?
That's it, people. Happy?
See you later, Dickie.
Oh, I'm checking out tomorrow.
Hey, look, Buster, you aren't any heist man. They come smoother. What's your angle?
Maybe I love jewelry. What do you care if maybe I love jewelry?
I don't. A guy like you's got to love something. I called Roderick and told him what I'd found out. He sounded relieved, like he'd been underwater for a long time, was just coming up for air. He said he'd get the cash, and I made arrangements to meet him at his place later on. Then I called the line and told him. After that, I stopped off at a place on Wilshire, and I ran up a tab watching a skinny guy trying to make a piano sound like a symphony orchestra. Well, I had some steak and potatoes, and then I drove back out to Roderick's place. It was about 9 o'clock when I got there, and the same people were on the front porch doing the same thing. I remembered what the lion had said about those legs of hers.
Oh, Joe.
Having fun?
Oh, Regan, huh? I thought I told you we didn't want any.
That was 8 hours ago.
We still don't want any.
I'm still here to see your brother.
Small business?
Something like that.
I don't like you any more now than I did this morning, and I hated you then.
Yeah, well, I'm going to cry about that when I get home.
You're pretty smart, aren't you, Regan?
Cain, please be careful.
He's awful smart.
Cain.
Let me go.
Yeah, let him go, lady. I'll give him back.
I'll show you trying to spy on people, huh? I'm going to give you something, people.
He's been drinking. Now, look out.
Look out, nothing. Go on. Oh!
Well, I guess he deserved that. He's nasty when he works at it.
How was the other time?
There aren't any other times.
Too bad.
Maybe he'll be different when he wakes up. What do you mean about the liquor?
Give it.
He's getting the wrong idea about everything.
What do you care?
I was a hat-check girl in a cheap nightclub.
What's going on out here, Janie? Oh, Regan, you're here. What was he acting up about tonight?
Mr. Regan.
Well, it doesn't make any difference. Take care of him, will you, Janie?
Of course, Abel.
That's a good girl, Janie. You all ready, Regan?
You got it?
All set. I'll be home early, Janie. Come on, Regan, let's go.
Well, we climbed in my car. We drove to the place Dickie Chambers told me about. It wasn't hard to find. It was a flat dirt road to the edge of the airport. We clicked off 2 miles on the speedometer, then we switched off our lights and parked. It was dark and quiet there, like the inside of an empty barrel. Roderick didn't have much to say. He just sat there chewing on a cigar and looking at nothing. He was real good at waiting. I looked at my watch about 3 minutes at 10, then I saw the headlights of another car coming down the road from a long way off. Roderick nodded his head, and I began to have a feeling like I was standing on top of the trap, and the warden had just smiled at the hangman.
That must be ours, Regan. Do you think we should switch on our headlights? They may not see us.
Well, unless they got wings, they got to pass us.
They don't seem to be slowing down much, do they?
Well, get out of the car.
What?
Get out of the car.
Hey, what is
Don't
this?
talk. Move.
Oh, all right. What's got into you, Regan?
Come on.
Well, we can't just... Well, them think something's
Look,
wrong.
this is a packed deck. You're a ringer.
I'm not sure
Spun him around and he fell against the car. I pulled out my gun, but it didn't do any good. Whoever it was must have been in vaudeville. That was the fastest disappearing act since Houdini.
You are listening to the story of Cain and Abel and the Santa Maria, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. If you are a graduate nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, you may be eligible for a commission in the Regular Officers Reserve Army Nurse Corps. If you are eligible and meet the high standards to qualify to serve with this fine organization, you may elect active or inactive status. In addition to this privilege, they also have the opportunity to take advantage of special training courses. So if you believe that you qualify for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve, apply now to the Adjutant General's Office, Washington, D.C. That's the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now, back to the story of Cain and Abel and the Santa Maria and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, there was enough loose lead around there to start a scrap drive. Whoever it was wanted to make real sure. My car was as full of holes as a canceled check. I found a .45 slug in the seat packing, and I piled Roderick inside, and I drove over to a motor court on the highway. An old lady with a dust mop or a head of hair registered us and complained about all the drunks there were in this world. And then when I got rid of her, I went out to the phone booth and gave the lion a ring. I woke him up.
It's 11 o'clock at night. What do you want?
I'm in a jam.
You're always in a jam. Tell me about it in the morning.
Look, I'm giving it to you right now.
You drunk?
I've been with your client trying to get that ship back.
How'd you do?
I got lead instead of silver.
What do you mean by that?
Somebody doesn't like Roderick.
Who is it?
I don't know. We got there for the buyback and somebody opened up.
They can't do that.
Well, they did.
Where's Roderick now?
With me. Get a doctor and come on over.
What?
He got in the way when they started the 4th of July.
Well, take him to a hospital.
Now, look, Fatso, he isn't hurt bad, but he needs help. You're always talking about money. Now, here's your chance to make some.
Yeah?
He'll give you a bonus if you keep him out of the papers.
I'll be there in half an hour.
Well, the lion showed up 20 minutes later. He had a long-faced guy with him who said he was a doctor. He looked more like an undertaker, but I didn't argue. I told the lion to keep Roderick there till I phoned back. Then I beat it over to the DeSoto Hotel. The door to 305 was open. Dickie Chambers had company, only he wasn't receiving. He was lying under his sheet. A fat guy in a wrinkled suit seemed to be running things.
Come on in, brother. I didn't know Dickie had any friends.
I guess he didn't.
Who are you?
I'm the guy who met him once. Who are you?
Ed Granger, constable. This is my territory. What's your name?
Regan, private investigator.
International?
Mm-hmm.
The Lion's Eye, huh? Know anything about this?
I talked to him this afternoon. He gave up riding horses for other things.
What kind of thing?
He was contact man on a heist job.
Yeah? Where do you come in?
I was hired. That's why I met Dickie.
Mind telling me by who?
It's a client, Granger.
This is a murder. Okay, well, sorry, go for now.
When'd you find him?
A little while ago, clerk called, said he heard shooting. I came down with the boys and found Dickie doing the long sleep. Happened less than an hour ago.
He's a tough little guy.
Well, them 45s don't know nothing about that.
45?
Big holes, chest and neck, close range. Corner's gonna lose 2 bits. He thinks it's a 38. Yeah.
Well, look, if it turns out big, try this one for a match here.
Oh, you've been playing games tonight?
Somebody gave it to me.
Connected?
Ballistics will tell you.
Anything else?
No.
What'd you come back for?
Talk to Dickie.
No good, huh?
No good. I should have asked him earlier.
We can get you through International.
Yeah.
Well, if you got anything, remember the name. Ed Granger.
He was peeking under that sheet looking at Chambers when I left. There was kind of a sad smile on his face, like somebody put gasoline in his thermos bottle. I drifted across the street for a package of cigarettes, and then I came back and climbed in my car thinking about the whole thing. I don't know how long I sat there in the car, but when I looked up, there was a shadow against the wall of the building. It was a good-looking shadow.
Doing your homework?
Yeah, I do for a diploma.
Congratulations. What would you like for a gift?
How about a little silver ship, huh?
Sorry, too expensive. Try again.
All right, give me a 45.
What would you do with that?
Give it to a cop named Granger.
Then what?
I go home and go to bed.
You haven't asked me what I'm doing here.
I know.
Cain?
Him, too?
He isn't so bad when you get to know him.
From where you're sitting, he must have wings.
Well, if it isn't the gum heel, you ready for a laugh?
What do we got, a comedy?
Take a look, Janie. Okay, bright boy, where is he?
You sober enough to shoot straight?
I took the pledge.
Before or after you came by us out on that road?
After, baby.
You don't smell like it.
Where is he?
Try my car trunk. I'm using him for ballast.
What did you do with him, Regan?
Cain, there's some people coming. Has he told you what he did with Abel?
Not yet.
You'll have to talk to him somewhere else.
Right, Angel. Okay, Regan, come on, get out. Hurry up. Now turn around.
Let me guess what's coming.
It's a trip to the moon. Sit tight, baby. Here you go. Oh!
I settled down to having a headache. Then the headache went someplace, and I had nothing. Oh, it was a nice play. Everybody was a quarterback, and everybody had the ball. I looked as good as a fat girl in a French bathing suit. It was some time later, maybe 10 years. I had a mouthful of brandy, and my throat was burning like an oil stacker. We were in Roderick's place. He was standing over me, holding a bottle in one hand and a 45 in the other.
Coming around. Got to work fast.
Don't worry, he'll talk. Feeling better, baby? Well, you're gonna feel worse. Now sit up, baby. Come on, it's time to talk.
Now, wait a minute, Cain. Wait. Let me ask you. We're all alone here. No one's going to disturb us. And we'll find out anyhow. Why don't you tell us what you did with him?
I get a short memory. I forget things.
It's a shame to let Cain do this to you. I think you're pretty. Might not be able to stop him once you get started.
Well, it's your idea, lady. I'm along for the view.
Iron men went out with short skirts, but I guess you don't know it yet.
You look tough, brother, but you bruise easy.
You're already wearing striped pants. You mangled it when you tagged me tonight.
Think so? Tell me how.
All right. No one knew I was a detective but your brother. That meant you hired Dickie Chambers to find out.
So you know it. So what?
So you bumped Dickie when you thought it was finished.
Well, that makes you know I'm not kidding.
There's a constable named Granger.
Cain?
Relax, Angel, relax. Don't let him scare you. He hasn't told anything to anybody.
No?
No. If you did, we would have found him in a hospital. I saw him go down.
Are you sure?
Of course I am. Now all we got to do is find him. So let's get started. You talk now, huh? No? It's going to get worse, baby. You might have to write it later.
You got hold of a bad label.
Stop it. Now, stop it. This isn't getting us anything.
Yeah, but I'm having fun.
No, kill him.
Let go of my
Listen
arm.
to me. Now, we need him. We've got to find him in the car with Abel. It's ruined if you kill him.
I said let go. Now, where were we, baby?
I got to stop.
Huh?
Stand away from him.
Are you crazy or something?
It will work fine if you could think. But you can't think. You're no good to me anymore.
Janie.
He shook all over a couple of times like he was saying no in a big way. And then he finally relaxed. She knelt down and took something out of his pocket. I tried to lift one of my arms, but I got about as far as I would trying to hook a whale with a solid fork. I must have looked real bad, because all of a sudden her eyes kind of lit up and she came over.
You've taken a lot of punishment, mister.
Yeah, not as much as you're going to take.
It's a matter of opinion. By the way, you didn't happen to be carrying that $5,000.
You're looking for a stake?
Yeah? I'm going out prospecting.
Trip around the world?
Far enough to make some new connections. That's all a girl needs. Here's the little ship. You didn't do it for nothing.
You run out of bullets?
No. If they ever get me, I'll say justifiable homicide. He was trying to kill you. You're my witness. Oh, you are pretty. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.
Take care of yourself. Goodbye. That's all she said, and that was the last I ever saw of her. Well, it seems that Janie and Cain had figured to tag both of us out on that road, and it'd all be blamed on a phony heist gang. There was a lot of insurance they could have turned into ready cash, but I had a feeling that when I made Abel get out of that car that night, it'd ruin things for him. Janie and Cain thought that they could still do it if they could find him and get us together again. That's why he went to work on me. Cain already killed Dickie Chambers because he thought there might have been a double cross, and I guess he was kind of crazy by the time he got around to me. Well, anyway, about 3 months later, a detective sergeant down in Miami Beach spotted Janie one night working a hat stand in a nightclub. Everybody wondered how he could recognize her. She dyed her hair, and it really changed her appearance. But it figured. You see, the police folder had a picture of her in a bathing suit, and she couldn't change those legs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers. First major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to juvenile detail. For the past 2 weeks, there have been rumors of a teenage gang war taking place in your city. You don't know when it's going to start. You don't know where. Your job, stop it. Friends, stage and screen star Paul Douglas is featured on the Chesterfield Poster of the Month that's up all over town. Here's what Paul Douglas says about Chesterfields. Quote, I've been smoking Chesterfield for 22 years. They're best for me. If you try them, you'll find they're best for you. Unquote. You'll know why Chesterfields are best for you. Because they're low in nicotine, highest in quality. And, of course, Chesterfields are really mild, really satisfying. Try them yourself today. Regular or king size, Chesterfield.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, September the 8th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of juvenile detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Powers. My name's Friday. We just transported a prisoner from the main jail, and it was 10:39 p.m. when we got to Georgia Street Juvenile. The interview room.
Sit down, Angelo.
Yeah.
What they call you, Angie?
Yeah, Angie.
Why'd you tell the officers who arrested you that you were 18?
How'd they find out different?
All they had to do was check your record.
Well, it don't make any difference. Some of them say 16, some say 17. They're all different.
You're 17, though, aren't you?
Yeah, 17.
All right, you want to tell us about this burglary?
I told the other guys. Ain't that enough?
We want to hear it.
Well, figure if you tell it once, that's enough. They copped out. I told them all about it. Why don't you ask them?
All right, boy. Give us a story.
You got a match?
It'd be better if you don't smoke, don't you think?
Well, my folks don't care. They let me smoke.
The law doesn't until you're 18.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Angie. Tell us about it.
There's nothing to tell. Me and a couple other kids broke into a house. That's all there is to it. We just broke into the place.
What about the stuff you took?
I told the other two guys all about that.
The officers from burglary?
Yeah, they said it was from Central. I told them all about it, everything.
You show them where the plant was?
I told them. I didn't go there, though. I just told them.
What'd you steal?
Huh?
The things you stole. Name them for us.
Just different stuff. You know, like you find in a house, all kinds of stuff.
Was there an electric mixer?
Yeah, good one. You know, with orange juice attachment, good.
What else?
Electric razor, some silverware.
What kind of silverware?
You know, like you eat with.
Was there a silver tea service?
A what?
A tea service. You know what I mean?
If I knew, I wouldn't ask you.
Like a coffee pot with legs, a lot of scroll work on it, silver, you know.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, was there one of those?
No.
How about a German Luger?
You mean a pistol?
That's right.
No, there wasn't one of them. Hey, you guys gonna let me out tonight?
No, you'll be held here.
Well, I thought you was gonna let me go tonight. How about my folks? They know I'm here?
We haven't had a chance to notify them yet.
Where they live?
Down on Wall.
They have a phone?
Uh-uh. I thought you always told them when you picked up a kid.
You were booked as an adult.
Oh, yeah.
You fenced any of this stolen merchandise yet?
No, we just got it last night. We just broke into the house and haven't had a chance to fence it.
The other officers say they're going to pick it up?
Yeah.
You got a job?
What?
I said, are you working?
I told you I did.
Where?
Place down on East 5th.
What do you do?
I'm a messenger, ride a bike, deliver things.
You working there now?
I'm here now.
You know what I mean.
No.
You're not working then?
The boss and me had a beef. He's moody one, too. Real moody.
Your parole officer know you lost the job?
I never told him.
Well, maybe he found out. Maybe that's why he was sore at you.
Yeah.
You been reporting regular?
Yeah, pretty much.
What's that mean?
Once in a while, a couple of times I missed. Just a couple. Don't have to make a federal case out of it. My parole officer know about this arrest?
I think he's been notified. How many times have you been arrested?
I don't know, maybe 6, 7.
You ever been to camp?
Yeah, I was there.
What for?
Truancy.
How long were you there?
A couple of weeks. And I broke out and they sent me to Preston. I'm on parole now. You can't let me out tonight, huh?
We'll book you and notify your officer. What's his name?
Lockridge. He's a moody old guy. Hope he ain't in a mood when he sees me. Rough if he's in a mood.
All right.
Yeah. Like he came down to see me one day and asked me how I was doing. I told him fine. I had a job. I was doing fine. He says, that's good, Angie, like that. That's good. Tells me how fine I'm doing.
Yeah?
Next day he comes to my house and reads me off. Says I'm a bum. I'm no good. All like that. Moody.
Why'd he read you off?
I don't know.
Didn't he tell you?
No, he just came in and yelled at me. I wasn't doing anything. He's moody.
You belong to a gang, Angie?
Huh?
I said, do you belong to a gang?
Yeah, we got a club. I belong to that.
What's the name of the club?
Little Wall Street Gang. You heard of it?
No.
Good club. You sure you ain't heard of us?
No.
How about you?
No. Your gang fight much?
What do you mean, fight?
Well, you ever get mixed up in gang wars, anything like that?
No, not us. We've been in a couple of street fights, maybe. You know, some kids come over to where we are and start trouble, but we never been in no gang wars. We got a good gang.
You know anybody that belongs to Pink Rats?
A couple of guys. I don't know them real well.
Who are they?
I told you, I don't know them real well. Just to know them when I see them, you know, like that.
You don't know any of the names, huh?
I think one of them's called Pinky. That's all I know. But why are you asking me about them?
Well, we got a rumble that they're cooking up a gang war. Wondered if you knew anything about it.
Where'd you hear it?
We did. You know anything on it?
No.
You sure?
I told you. I wouldn't tell you if it wasn't right.
Now, look, Angie, if this thing breaks loose, there's going to be a lot of kids hurt. If you got no part in it, why don't you give us a story?
I'm giving it to you. Ain't nothing more I can tell you. Didn't hear nothing about no war. I told you I belong to the little Wall Street Gang. We don't get mixed up in no wars. A couple of street fights, maybe, but no wars.
You going to stand on that?
I haven't got any other way. What did you hear?
What?
What did you hear about the rats? About the war, I mean. Who are they going to fight?
Well, the way it comes to us, they're going to cut into the orchids.
You mean from the south side?
Yeah.
They're rough guys.
That's what we hear.
How did it start?
What do you mean?
What's the beef? The orchids won't go that far away from home to stage something. Got to be a reason. You guys know what it is?
Well, the way we got it, a girlfriend of one of the orchid gang moved over into the Pink Rat territory. She started to go with one of the rats. The orchids didn't like it, so they drove over one night and beat up on one of the rats.
The next night, the rats went over the south side and kicked around one of the orchids. That's the way it started. A couple of nights ago, one of the rat kids was riding down the street on a motorbike. A car full of orchids came up alongside the boy, and before he could do anything about it, they wrapped a piece of bicycle chain around his head.
Kill him?
No. He's still in the county hospital. He's not doing too well.
We got word there's going to be a party this Saturday night at one of the rats' house. They figure maybe that's where the trouble's going to be.
You're not throwing any coconuts at me?
What?
This is for real?
It's the way we get it. Those kids get started, and somebody's going to get hurt real bad.
Maybe a lot worse than you got it figured.
What do you mean?
I heard about the job the orchids did last week.
Yeah?
They broke into a place and cleaned it out. Must have been for Saturday night.
How do you mean?
They stole a couple of rifles. Something worse.
Yeah?
12-gauge shotgun.
10:45 p.m. Angelo Marcal was rebooked at Georgia Street Juvenile on a charge of burglary. His shoes and his belt were taken from him, and he was held in detention. We put in a call to his parole officer and told him what had happened. After that, we drove by Marcal's home to inform his parents of the arrest, but we found nobody there. We left our card with a notation asking them to call us when they returned. Before the Marcal boy had been placed in the cell, we'd gotten a description of the boy he knew as Pinky. After trying to contact Marcal's parents, we went up to the second floor of the juvenile division and had the record bureau check the nickname and description. We came up with 3 possibles. We pulled the mug shots of the boys and showed them to Angelo Marcal, but he was unable to give us an identification. It was difficult to tell if the boy was lying or telling us the truth to try to cover up for the members of the Pink Rat Gang. The following afternoon, Wednesday, September 9th, Frank and I checked into the office, and then we drove out to see the parents of the Markel boy. They still hadn't returned, and the neighbors told us that they had seen the couple drive away early Monday morning without giving any indication as to when they might return. We asked the woman who lived next door to call us when they did come back. 4:40 p.m., we drove over to the east side of town to check on the three possibles named Pinky that we'd turned up the previous night. All of the boys were able to prove to our satisfaction that they were not the Pinky we were after. We talked to the youngsters in the neighborhood, asking them if they knew anything about an expected gang war. Either they didn't know anything about it or they wouldn't tell us. 6:15 p.m., we went back to the office and put in a call to Central Burglary.
Yeah, we haven't got the exact date. The way we got it, there are a couple of rifles taken and a 12-gauge shotgun. No, and a 12-gauge shotgun. Yeah. Sure, I'll wait. They're checking the reports now.
This is one tip I'd like to have turned bad, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, Rex. Mm-hmm. That'll be the 30, huh? Yeah. What's that? Yeah, I guess it might be. Won't help if it is. Right. Let us know, huh? Right. I got the reports. Guns were stolen on Tuesday, August 30th. I still haven't been able to get anything on it. Rifles were 30-06s.
Deer rifles, huh?
Yeah. Olson says he got another report last night. Might mean something.
Yeah.
Hardware store broken into.
What'd they take?
4 boxes of 30-06 ammo, 3 boxes of 12-gauge cartridges.
It might have been a coincidence, but if it wasn't, the Orchid gang was armed with 3 guns and 225 rounds of ammunition, enough to start and sustain a small war. 6:35 p.m., we contacted Lieutenant Hartgrove, the night watch commander, and he assigned 2 other teams of officers to work with us. In addition to the juvenile officers, radio units out of Metro Division, reserves, joined us in the search for members of the Orchid gang. The streets in the area were combed. Citizens in the area were questioned, but they failed to supply any information on the boys who belonged to the gang. The satin-embroidered jackets the members of the Orchid gang wore had disappeared from the streets. At 12:01 a.m., the search was called off, and a broadcast was put out to the regular units in the area to be on the watch for any gang activities. 12:47 a.m., we got in touch with Rex Olson in Central Burglary. He told us that the crime lab had failed to come up with any physical evidence on the theft of ammunition from the hardware store. 1:20 a.m., Frank and I checked out of the office and we went home. The following morning at 8:30 a.m., we got in touch with a juvenile informant, and he was able to give us more information on the expected gang war. He told us that the fight was set for Saturday night. He was unable to give us the exact address of the party that was to be crashed, but he did give us a general idea of the location. He was also able to give us the name Pinky Eggers and his address. He told us that the Eggers boy was the leader of the Pink Rats and might be able to give us information on the membership of the Orchid gang. 12:40 p.m., Frank and I drove out to talk to the Eggers boy. We checked his school, but he wasn't there. We went to his home. It was a small one-story frame building with a weathered picket fence surrounding it. A 1947 hopped-up Ford was in the driveway. Frank and I went up on the porch and rang the bell.
Yard could sure stand a cleaning up.
Yeah. Wonder who the car belongs to.
I don't know. Sure looks fast.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Like to see Pinky Eggers.
Who are you?
Police officers.
Well, can't you lay off the kid? Why don't you quit rousting him?
Is he here?
No, he ain't here, and if he was, I don't think I'd let you see him.
That his car?
Yeah, it's his.
Registered in his name?
No, in mine. Now, what are you after the kid for?
I want to talk to him.
Well, talk to me. I'm his father. Anything you got to say to him, you can tell me.
Your boy belonged to a club called the Pink Rat Gang?
Why?
Does he?
I answer no questions till you tell me why you're asking.
Now, look, mister, we're not out here to pass the time of day. Your boy's mixed up in something that can turn out to be pretty serious.
That right?
That's the way it is.
Who says it's serious, and what are you talking about?
We got word that your boy's mixed up in a gang war that's going to break out this weekend.
And you 2 big cops are out here leaning on a kid because he's mixed up in a beef. Listen, there's a 5-year-old kid down the street skating on the sidewalk. Why don't you go put the arm on her?
If this war breaks out and somebody's going to get hurt, maybe your boy. We're trying to stop it.
Well, don't bother. Pinky can take care of himself. Any of the gangs cause trouble, the rats can swing their end. You want to stop the beef, go talk to the other kids. Tell them to lay off. My boy's gang is now looking for trouble. Any fighting going on, you can talk to the other kids. You check them. Leave my boy alone.
We want to talk to him, Mr. Eggers.
You going to make a pinch?
No, we just want to talk to him.
Should have known you were going to take him today. Only 2 of you. Well, I'm telling you, you ain't laying a hand on Pink. You try it, and I'll haul you in every court in the country. Now get out of here.
Where's your boy now?
That's none of your business. I told you to get out.
Maybe you don't understand, Eggers. This is a gang war. Your boy's helping to build it.
All right, so a couple of kids get together in a vacant lot and mix it up. A couple of bloody noses, black eyes, nothing wrong. Makes men out of them.
A lot more serious than that. We understand there's going to be guns used in it.
You get out of here now. I got some rights. You ain't off the property in 2 minutes flat, I'm going to get a gun and start shooting. You come around here telling me my son's getting mixed up with a bunch of hoodlums using guns? You guys are Section 8s. Maybe Pinky will belt a couple of kids, but there ain't going to be no guns. Only reason they'd use them is that they're around all the time with you cops hounding them. You just can't see a bunch of kids have a little fun, can you? Unless they belong to the stinking clubs you build, you can't stand on that DAPS or whatever you call it. Kid don't belong to that ain't no good in your book. Well, I'm telling you something. Any kid that does belong to it's a bum in my book. Now, you get off my property and don't come back, you hear me? Anything happens, Pinky can take care of himself. He'll be okay. Now, you guys leave him alone.
I hope he's right. 3:15 p.m. Frank and I drove over to Pinky Yeager's school again. We spent the next 2 hours talking to the youngsters in the neighborhood. Those that would cooperate with us didn't have the information that we needed. The others refused to tell us anything. In the meantime, officers from 77th Street Division were checking on the activities of the Orchid Gang. They ran into the same evasive answers that we had. If the information we'd gotten was true, we had a little more than 48 hours to find the principals in the war before the shooting could start. Thursday night, 8:40 p.m., Frank and I met with Captain John Powers, Lieutenant Hartgrove, and the heads of the juvenile details throughout the city. From them, we learned that word of the impending war had spread through the gangs in the separate districts, and that the other gangs were taking sides in the argument and were ready to start their own battles with factions who opposed them. Captain Powers, along with the heads of the divisions, mapped the plan of action to be put into effect at the first sign of an outbreak. Additional cars from Metropolitan Division reserves were to be ready if they were needed. Days off for all juvenile officers were canceled. The three-way radio contact would be kept open between all divisions on Saturday night. The area where the main activity was expected would be heavily patrolled, both by beat men and by radio car officers. Once the operating plan was set up, there was little to do but wait. In the meantime, the search went on for members of the Orchid Gang and for Pinky Yeagers, the leader of the Pink Rats. A watch had been placed on his home, but he'd failed to return. Friday, September 6th, 9:42 p.m., Frank and I checked with the burglary division on the stolen guns. Then we went over to the New Yorker restaurant to get something to eat.
Hi, Sal.
Hey, Joe, call your office. I just called you.
Yeah, thanks. Order him the fish and chips, will you, Frank?
Sure. How's it going, Sal?
Not bad. With you?
Kind of rough. Where's Rosie?
Her and the kids went to movies.
$2568, please. Yeah, George Juvenile. Right. Lieutenant, this Friday. Well, when did it happen? Well, wait till I get a pencil. Saul, hand me that menu, will you?
Yeah. Here you are.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Well, what do you want us to do? Yeah. They know yet? Yeah, all right. No, we'll get right over there. Bye. Never mind the food, Sal.
What's the matter?
Kids didn't wait until Saturday. They just shot up Highland Park.
What's the score?
Still coming in. A good start.
Yeah.
11-year-old boy killed.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
It's taking place at your dealers, cigarette dealers coast to coast. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. Join them today, and you'll be smoking the only cigarette that gives you proof of low nicotine, highest quality. I want you to know that's a matter of record. And so's this. As I've been telling you, Chesterfield is the only cigarette with this proven record with smokers. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Good reasons why you should change to Chesterfield? You bet. Ask for Chesterfield, regular or king size, best for you.
The first victim of the juvenile gang war was 11-year-old Tony Herman. The teenagers next door to the Herman house were having a party. At 9:36 p.m. Friday night, a group of youngsters had arrived at the house and tried to crash the party. A fist fight had ensued, and Tony, who was doing his homework next door, had gone out to see what was causing the disturbance. As he stood on the porch watching the fighting, a 12-gauge shotgun had been fired. The pellets from the cartridge had caught the youngster in the stomach and the abdomen, and he'd gone down. At the sound of the shot, the fighting had stopped, and the party crashers had left the scene. The police had been called, and Tony was removed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. He was dead on arrival. From the neighbors, descriptions of the party crashers had been obtained. All of the boys wore satin jackets with a large white orchid embroidered on the back. One of the people who saw the shooting said that the boy who'd fired the gun wore a jacket with the name Gene under the orchid design. A broadcast was gotten out immediately, along with a description of the car that the juveniles had used to escape. The parents of the Herman boy were not at home when the shooting occurred. From the neighbors, we found that they usually went to a movie on Friday night, and they didn't return until after midnight. An officer was stationed at the house to bring them to the hospital when returned. At 1:34 a.m., Mrs. Herman arrived at the hospital. She was a small, dark woman with graying hair. She didn't know what had happened. Frank and I met her in the hall.
I want to see Sergeant Friday. Is he here?
I'm Sergeant Friday, ma'am.
Well, I'm Mrs. Herman. They say something's happened to Tony.
Yes, ma'am. You want to step in here? Might be a little better to talk.
All right. Can I see him? He isn't hurt bad, is he? It's that bicycle. I told his father I knew it was too soon for it. He's so little, and to buy him a big bike like that, well, he couldn't hardly reach the pedals. Well, that's it, isn't it? He fell off the bicycle.
No, ma'am.
What is it, then? What is it? Something more? He's hurt. I want to see him.
Just a minute, Miss Herman.
Why won't you tell me what happened to him? My husband will be here in a few minutes, and he's going to want to know. Why won't you tell me? How bad's he hurt?
Pretty bad, man.
That's not an answer. How bad's he hurt?
He's dead.
Dead?
Can we get you anything?
My boy's dead? Tony? What? I thought he'd fallen off the bicycle. He got it for his birthday, a new bicycle, 28-inch wheels. I thought he'd fallen. I didn't know it was like this. Can I see him? My boy, can I?
Yes, ma'am.
How did it happen? How?
Oh, we're sorry about it, Miss Herman.
My Tony had an accident, and he's dead. We went to a movie, and we come home to find our son's dead.
Better get the doctor, Frank.
Right.
Doctor will be here in a minute, Miss Herman.
Just to a movie. He's doing his homework. Now he's dead. How did it happen, Mr. Friday?
The gun went off. He was standing on the porch. He was hit.
But who was shooting? Who shot my boy? Who killed him?
We don't know, Miss Herman.
I want to know who it was who killed him. I want to know. His father's going to want to know. My boy's dead. My boy, my son.
You want to handle this, Doc? We'll wait outside.
Surely.
Kind of hard to do.
You're going to make up for it.
What?
The kid that fired the gun?
Yeah.
I got him downstairs.
A few minutes after the broadcast had gone out on the boy wearing the jacket with the name Gene on it, two officers on York Boulevard had picked up the speeding car. In shaking down the occupants and the car itself, they'd found the jacket hidden under the rear seat. In the trunk of the automobile, they'd found the stolen rifles and the shotgun with one discharged cartridge in it. The three boys in the car had been taken into custody and brought immediately to Georgia Street. Two of the youngsters had been taken to the detention cells, and the third, who identified himself as Gene Graff, was brought to the office of the night watch commander. From the identification found in his pockets, we learned his name, address, and his age, 16 years old. His parents were notified that he was being held, and they were asked to come to the office immediately. All the time the boy had been in the room, and the calls had been made, he refused to say anything. When Frank hung up the phone after calling his parents, he made the first statement.
What's that going to prove?
What's that?
Having them come down here. What are you going to prove with that?
You want to tell us about it?
That's a kid. You going to be all right?
No, he's not.
How bad's he hurt?
He's dead.
Rough.
That's all you got to say?
What do you want me to say?
You gunned down an 11-year-old boy, and that's all you got to say about it?
Look, cop, I know the routine. You read me off, make a big speech, and I'm supposed to feel real bad. Well, I'd like to go along with you, but it won't work. Look, save the effort. Use the words on somebody else. Do what you're going to do, and let's get it over with.
How old are you?
You already saw it.
How old?
16.
Pretty heavy, aren't you?
I've been around, yeah.
Don't get smart, kid.
Not my fault. I was born that way.
How many times have you been arrested?
Couple.
How many times?
4.
For what?
Suspicion 211, suspicion 245.
You're 16. You've been picked up for robbery and assault.
I didn't stand any of them.
You ever been in camp?
No.
You ever served any time?
Look, the taxpayers pay you a lot of money to keep records. Why don't you look all this up? It's there.
Where'd you get the shotgun you used tonight?
I won it in a raffle. I got a lot of luck.
Yeah, well, it just ran out, kid. Now, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. If you're as smart as I think you are, you're going to take it. You start answering these questions, you start answering them right. You bought yourself a pile of trouble that you and that smart mouth of yours aren't going to talk your way out of. You killed somebody, an 11-year-old boy. You walked up that house with a gun you were ready to use. And you just answer the questions and never mind the sarcasm.
Put the muscle away. You lean on me and I'll have every sister in this state on your neck. I'm a juvenile. Don't you forget it.
You just got out of that league.
That's the way you see it.
That's the way it is.
From where you sit. But I'm telling you, You give me any muscle and I'll scream my head off to every sob sister club in the country.
I'm going to ask you once more, young fella. Where'd you get that gun?
I bought a lucky ticket.
Stick with it, kid. We're checking the numbers now. Those guns were taken on the burglary last week. You're dead on it. We got you going in.
You try to make it stick.
Don't worry, we will.
Use narcotics?
Do I look like a hype?
I asked you a question.
And I gave you an answer.
You drink?
Sure, I'm a real lush.
I'm going to tell you something. We're running out of patience with you.
Well, then you better go get pumped up. You're going to need a lot more.
What were you doing out there tonight?
Where?
Come off it. You know what I mean.
Gently, gently.
What were you doing at that party?
What do you usually do at a party? Was having a good time.
Why'd you take that gun with you?
I was in the car. I didn't take it. I went along for the ride.
Well, who put it there?
I don't know.
Other boys say it was yours.
That's a lie.
Prove it.
I don't have to. You got to prove I did know about it.
We don't have to prove a thing. There are a couple of people who saw you shoot the kid. Guys you were with that copped out. You're nailed and you know it.
We'll see what the judge has to say about it. I've gotten off before. I'll swing it this time. I'm a juvenile. I'm not responsible for what I do.
You really believe that, don't you?
I said it.
You know, I got 2 kids.
What do you want, a medal?
I got 2 kids. They're pretty good youngsters, too. They go to school, they study hard, and they're trying hard to grow up to be decent human beings. They'll get married and raise ordinary families. They'll never do much of anything special to get their names in the papers. Nobody's going to give them much notice. Maybe that's the way they want it. But all of a sudden, somebody like you comes along, mean and rotten, and people hear about you. They figure all the kids sat down and wrote your name on a ballot, and now you represent all of them. That you're the shining example of American youth. They sit there and shake their heads and talk about what's happening to the younger generation. They got the wrong picture. It isn't true, none of it. You framed it. You act like a big man, and every decent, honest kid comes on looking like a bum. You sit there and blow off about being a juvenile. You like it because you think it'll buy you special privileges. Well, you're wrong, fella, not in my book. As far as I'm concerned, you're a rotten little killer, and you're going to be treated like one.
Now you bring out the rubber hose?
All right, come on, let's go.
Take your coat, boy. You're not coming back this way.
Yeah.
Come in.
It's Friday.
Yes, Miss Herman.
They told me I'd find you here. Is this the boy who did it?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your name?
Answer.
Gene Graff.
Why'd you do it? Why'd you kill my boy? Did he do something to you? Is that it? Did Tony do something to you? Answer me. Say something. Just tell me one thing. What right do you have? What right does a young hoodlum like you have to stand there alive and breathing and my boy dead? What right? Do you hear me? What right?
Miss Herman.
Make him tell me what right. What right? What right does he have to do a horrible thing like this? What right?
I don't know, but we're going to take it away from him.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 4th, a petition was filed in juvenile court, and the subject was declared unfit to be tried as a juvenile. He was ordered to be tried in superior court under the general law. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we've been getting letters from people all over the country telling us that they've switched to Chesterfield. Now, just as I've been telling you, thousands of smokers are changing to Chesterfield because only Chesterfield gives proof of low nicotine, highest quality. That's why I recommend you try them today. Regular or king size, Chesterfields are really mild, really satisfying. Best for you.
Gene Norton Graff was tried and convicted of murder in the second degree. He was referred to the Youth Authority for punishment. Murder in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of from 5 years to life. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Bert Holland, June Whitley, Gil Stratton. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann.
Hal Gibney speaking. Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspaper for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke, with Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today. Hear John Cameron Swayze and the news tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a robbery detail. 3 hold-up men have robbed and beaten 2 supermarket operators in your city. You've got a good description of the thieves. Your job, get them.
It was Tuesday, November 3rd. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. We'd gotten a hotshot call about a robbery, and it was 9:46 a.m. when we got to the corner of Lockwood and Barton Avenues. The Lockton Market.
Officer back there.
Yeah. Friday and Smith, Central Robbery.
Oh, yeah, I'm Jackson, Unit 387.
You answered the call?
Yeah, we got here a couple of minutes ago.
Where's the victim?
Back room there. He's pretty bad off. Ambulance attendant's with him now.
Mm-hmm.
My partner's checking the neighborhood. If there's nothing you need me for, I'll give him a hand.
Yeah, make a 211 report before you leave, will you?
Right.
Thank you.
Looks like there was quite a fight.
Yeah, stuff all over the place. Come on.
What do you got in that bottle? It sure stinks. Yeah, you got to clean up these cuts. Let's try to hold still. Ow! Hey, take it easy, huh?
Yeah, something you want?
We're out of Central Robbery. Is this the victim?
Yeah, a couple of cuts, nothing serious.
Tell him about Andy. He's the one who really got it.
Who's Andy?
Yeah, the clerk. Pretty rough. Looks like it might be a fractured jaw. He's in the truck now. Now, let me get this tape on you now, huh? Ow! That should do it. Might be a good idea if you saw your doctor. Yeah, what about Andy? We're going to take him down to Georgia Street Receiving. You going to call me and let me know about it? It might be better if you called them. Yeah, okay. All right, see you guys, huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Boy, that one guy really clouded me. Hurt.
Mm-hmm. When did you feel up to telling us what happened here?
3 of them. 3. Came in and held up the place. Clouded me and Andy. Sure hope he's going to be all right.
What's your name, sir?
Cliff Hall.
You own the store, do you?
No, me and Andy run it, though. We'd like to buy it.
What time did these men come in?
Must have been around 9:30, around in there.
Did you give the officers who answered the call a description of the men?
Yeah, it was the first thing they asked me.
Go ahead, please.
I was getting the money ready for the bank deposit. Andy was back here stacking bottle cases. These 3 guys came in. First off, I thought they were customers.
Yeah.
A couple of them walked to the back of the place. I thought they were picking out stuff. The other one kind of stood around by the cash register where I was.
Go ahead.
Well, after he was there for a minute and I see the other 2 aren't picking up nothing, I asked him if there was something I could get for him. That's when he pulled out a gun.
What about the other 2?
Oh, it worked like they had some kind of signal. As soon as the one in front pulled his gun, the other 2 did too. The fellow asked me to put all the money in a paper bag. Got the bag from up in front there. Took it right out of the stack and handed it to me. Said for me to put the dough in it.
You recall his exact words?
What?
The way he said it, the words he used. You recall them?
Let me see. I think it was, put all the dough in this bag. Don't say anything. Just do as I say. That was the way he said it.
What'd you do then?
Like he said. He had that gun pointed right at me. I could see the other 2 guys. I wasn't going to do anything but what he told me. I put the money in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they'd leave the place, but that's when Andy came out. I guess he wondered what the other two were after. You see, from where he was, he couldn't see the guns.
Oh.
He walked out to them, asked if there was anything special they were looking for.
Mm-hmm. What happened then?
Well, then he saw what was happening. He saw the guns, and he tried to throw the guys out. I don't know why he did it. Andy's like that. He gets an idea in his head, and there isn't anything that'll shake it loose. He tied into those two guys, almost had them whipped, too, even with the guns. The guy that was with me saw what was going on and yelled back at him, told him not to shoot. He ran back and laid his gun alongside Andy's head. Clouded him right along in here.
Mm-hmm.
Andy dropped like a sack of potatoes, and the three guys ran out of the store.
How much money did they get, you know?
I hadn't finished up with the bank statement yet. I'd just be guessing, but I'd say about $8,000. Might run to 8.5, but that's about it.
I see. Well, if you could just give us a description of the men.
All three of them?
If you could, yeah.
The one who was with me must have been about 5'11", kind of dark complected, had straight black hair.
What color were his eyes?
Brown.
You have any marks or scars you could see?
No.
Clean shaven?
Yeah, I had a real dark beard. Looked kind of like he had some kind of talcum powder on.
Do you remember how he was dressed?
Let's see. A dark blue suit, gray top coat, gray hat.
Was he wearing a tie, do you know?
Yeah, a gray tie with maroon stripes. You know, kind of diagonal, a thin tie.
Anything unusual about him? Make it easier for us to identify him?
No, I don't think so.
How about the gun he was carrying? What kind was it?
I couldn't see the name.
No, sir. I mean, was it an automatic or revolver?
Oh, an automatic. Looked like a big caliber. I'd say 45. One of the other fellas had a revolver, but the guy with me and the small one had automatics.
You know if they drove a car?
Well, if they did, I didn't see it. Might have had it parked right out in front for all I know. I told you I was busy when they came in. When they left, I was too worried about Andy to pay any attention to him. The way they hit him, a terrible thing, right along here. Oh, excuse me a minute. I got some aspirin here in the drawer.
Yes, sir.
Sure hope Andy's going to be all right. We've been together a long time. Can't get over that little guy, the one who hit me. I should have taken him. But the big one, he's tough looking, a real fighter.
Well, this isn't going to help much.
Huh?
He's going to lose this one. We got the descriptions of the other two men, and the supplementary local broadcast was gotten out. The two officers who'd answered the call found a woman in the neighborhood who'd seen three men leave the vicinity immediately after the robbery. She said that she was parked in a car half a block from the store on the same side of the street. She explained that about 9:20 a.m., a car had pulled into a parking place in front of her. She'd seen three men leave the car and walk down the sidewalk in the direction of the Lockton Market. About 10 minutes later, the men came back to the car. They appeared to be in a hurry. One of the men was upset and arguing with the other two. She told the officers that they'd gotten into the car and driven off toward Hollywood Boulevard. We asked her to describe the three men. The description she gave us matched the one we'd gotten of the thieves. She gave us a description of the car, and another supplementary broadcast was put out. We asked her to come down to City Hall to go through the mug books to see if she could give us a positive identification. The report from Georgia Street Receiving Hospital indicated that the victim of the slugging, Andrew Rich, was suffering from a fractured jaw and a concussion. He was given emergency treatment and removed to the county hospital. The crime lab crew came out and they went over the store for physical evidence. They were able to lift 3 partial fingerprints from the counter next to the cash register. Dean Bergman and Leighton Prince explained that the partials were not enough for identification, but that if we apprehended the hold-up men, he'd be able to tell us if they'd left the impressions. 10:27 a.m. We took the victim, Clifford Hall, and the woman who'd seen the car to the mug room. They went through the mug books, but they were unable to come up with an identification. We had the stats office make a run on the M.O. They came back with a list of 17 names of men who at one time or another had used the same method of operation. The list was split, and Sergeants Meade and Leitner worked with us in checking the names out. Thursday, 3:48 p.m. Frank and I got to the 6th name on our list.
Jerry Evanston, that right?
Yeah.
Sure dark in this hall. We ought to wash the windows, let some light in.
Yeah, here we are.
Might not be in.
Yeah, we'll try it again. Now let's talk to the manager.
Yeah.
Yeah? Who is it?
Manager, we want to see you a minute.
Just a minute. What do you want? I just sleep.
Come on, Evanston, open up.
Yeah, we can get out of here.
Police officer. Come on. Watch it, Joe. All right, come on, Evanston, get up.
What are you doing? I'm clean. Look, you got no right to come busting in here like this.
Yeah, you're so clean. What are you putting that trouble for?
I got scared, that's all. I just got scared. How'd you feel? Somebody woke you up and then shoves their way into your room. You ain't going to stand around and just let them do it.
He's clean, Joe.
I told you that. I got no trouble. I don't want none. You check with Galloway. He'll tell you. I'm home every night at 9 o'clock. Every night.
Where were you this morning?
Huh?
This morning, where were you?
What time?
You just tell us what you did, starting when you got up.
I was up all night. I got a virus or something. I couldn't sleep. Take a look there in the dresser. You can see the stuff I've been taking. I haven't been out of this room, not for a couple of days.
Can you prove that?
Why?
Can you?
No, there wasn't anybody here.
You get any phone calls?
No. I don't know what this is all about, but you guys are leaning on me for nothing. Now, you talk to Galloway. He'll tell you I've been working. Well, look here, I'll show you.
Where you going?
I just want to show you something I got in the drawer.
Well, you stay right there. I'll get it for you.
Okay, I got nothing to hide. Take a look in the top drawer there, left-hand side.
Yeah. These what you mean?
Yeah, that's it. I'll take the rubber band off and look. You'll see I'm telling you the truth. Now, you see? It's all the check receipts I've gotten from where I work. You look at them. I'm working every day, and I'm home at night, 9 o'clock every night.
How about it, Joe?
Yeah.
Now, you see?
You haven't been out of this room all day, huh?
Not a minute. Now, come on, what's all this about anyway? What are you guys after?
We figured maybe you could tell us.
Yeah? Oh, I'm sorry. Without you telling me what you want, there's nothing I can give you.
You see any of the boys anymore?
You mean the fellas I knew before I fell?
That's right.
Not if I can help it. I'm trying to stay away from them.
See any of them lately?
Yeah. Saw Alex a couple of days ago.
Alex?
Yeah. Alex Finley. I knew him when I was up in Q. He came in where I was working.
Did you talk to him at all?
I just said hello. Passed a couple of minutes talking about some of the guys we knew.
Is he in the rackets now?
I don't know.
Is he on parole?
Yeah, I think so.
Did he give you anything?
Oh, a couple of rumbles, but if I turn them over to you, I don't want a credit for them. You don't know where you got them.
All right.
Alex tells me there's a gang that's going to start working here in town, market jobs.
How many men?
Well, from what Alex says, there's 4, all heavy guys.
Finley with him?
No, I don't think so. He told it to me that he just heard it.
Did he say anything about who the 4 men are?
No, I don't think he knew. He just said they were heavy and they were starting to work.
You know where we can get in touch with Alex?
No. Well, you might check with Galloway at the parole office. He might have it.
Yeah, we will.
I'll probably see him again. I'll try to get the information if I can. Well, what is it you want to know? Who the guys are?
That's right.
Okay. Now, like I told you, though, I don't want any credit for it. I'm in real trouble if it gets around that I'm playing footsie with you.
Yeah, sure.
I'll try to find out when they're going to start working, too.
Well, don't you worry about that.
Huh?
We already know that. 4:10 p.m. We got in touch with Fred Galloway at the state adult parole offices, and we checked on Jerry Evanston. From what the record showed, the story Evanston had told us was true. His parole officer had reported him working and apparently living up to the conditions of his release. We left him one of our cards and asked him to call us in the event he heard from Alex Finley. 4:21 p.m. We checked back into the office, and we met with Sergeants Meade and Lightner. They told us that they'd checked out the names on their half of the list without result. We sent a teletype up to George Brereton, CII, Sacramento, giving him the description of the holdup men and listing the M.O. that they'd used. We asked him to run the information through their files and forward any information they came up with. 5:19 p.m. We went out to get something to eat, and then we checked back into the office.
Good dinner, huh, Joe?
Yeah, I never saw a guy could eat so many enchiladas as you.
Yeah, I can't help it. I get started on them. Can't seem to stop.
Yeah.
You got any soda in your locker?
No, you got trouble again?
You know I always do when we have enchiladas.
You ought to remember that when you order a half a dozen.
I suppose so.
Yeah, I get it. Robbery Friday, yeah. When was that? They're pretty sure, are they? Has the lab been called yet? Yeah. Okay. Right, thanks. Oh, that's a break.
Yeah?
They just found the getaway car. 6:47 p.m. We left the office and drove out to where the car had been found. It was parked on Lockwood Avenue, 5 blocks from the market that had been robbed. The radio car officers who'd spotted it had called the office immediately when they saw a brown paper bag in the back seat bearing the printed name, Lockton Market. A crew from Leighton Prince came out and went over the car. They were able to come up with a single print from a man's index finger. Bergman compared it with the parcels found at the market. They matched. We checked the white slip in the car and found that the vehicle was stolen. The report on it had been filed at 10:37 a.m. that morning. We talked with the people in the immediate vicinity, but none of them were able to tell us anything about the people who'd parked the car. However, we did come up with an elderly man who told us that he'd seen 3 men get into another car at about 9:45 that morning. He said that he remembered it because the driver of the car had pulled into a parking space and stopped the motor. Another automobile had parked directly in front of the car, and the driver of the first machine had moved so that there was no one in front of him. The man went on to say that a few minutes after the driver pulled into the second parking place, 3 men had come around the corner, gotten into the car, and the 4 of them had driven off. The witness was unable to give us a description of the car other than to say that it was a late model Plymouth or Ford. The only description he could give us of the men was that one of them was large and was wearing a gray topcoat and a hat, and that one of them was small. 8:40 p.m. Frank and I went back to the office and checked out for the night. The following morning at 8:02 a.m., I checked back in for work.
Hi, Joe.
Morning.
Kind of cold out.
Yeah.
You look happy this morning.
I didn't sleep a wink last night, Joe. Not a wink.
What's the matter?
Stomach. Next time I even think about eating enchiladas, stop me, will you, Joe?
Yeah, sure. Any mail come in?
I don't know. I just got in.
There's an ad here from that store over on West 6th. They're having their annual sale.
Yeah? I want to try to get over there. I'd like to get me a new suit for Christmas.
Yeah, there's a special delivery from Brereton.
Huh.
Probably those mugs we asked for. I'll see. Yeah, there's 6 of them. You want to get in touch with Cliff Hall? You can drive over and have him take a look at them.
Yeah. You got any other pictures?
Yeah, we can mix them up.
I'll call Hall.
Okay.
I sure hope we get an ident. We haven't got much to go on.
Well, there's got to be a break someplace. We got to find it.
From what Finley said about the gang starting up operation, doesn't sound like just one job.
No.
They start on a string, they can do a lot of damage.
Well, it doesn't give us much choice, does it?
No.
We got to get to them. 8:27 a.m. Frank and I left the office and drove over to talk to the victim, Cliff Hall. We showed him the mug shots George Brereton had sent us. He picked one out and said that he was positive that the man in the picture was the one who'd held him up. The name on the mug shot was Harold Bishop. According to the record Brereton had sent us, Bishop had been convicted twice on violation of 211 PC, armed robbery. 9:20 a.m. We drove over to the county hospital and showed the pictures to the other victim, Andrew Rich. He picked the mug shot of Bishop as the suspect who'd robbed and beaten him. The notation on Bishop's picture gave us the information that he was on parole at the time. We returned to the office and put in a call to Fred Galloway at the State Adult Parole Office. Yeah, Fred, this is Joe Friday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, fine. We'd like some information on a Harold Bishop. San Francisco number 82609. 26, that's right. Male, white, Caucasian. We got a mug from Brereton. No, he says he's on parole. Yeah, if you will. Thanks a lot. He's checking the master file now.
Meade and Leitner are standing by if we need them.
When we get this address, we're going to have to move fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fred. When was that? Well, how's his report there? I see. No, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose. Right, Fred. Thank you. Well, you can tell Meade and Leitner to relax. Bishop's got an out-of-state parole. He's living over in Phoenix.
Well, he still could be getting into California.
No, not likely.
Huh?
Fred checked with his parole officer.
Yeah.
He's got a job, and he's been reporting to his parole officer every month. We asked Fred Galloway at the state parole office to contact Bishop's parole officer in Phoenix and check him closely. The report came back that the suspect had a job with a small contractor and that he'd been working regularly. He'd also been giving monthly reports to his officer. We'd had a suspect identified by 2 of his victims, and yet if the information we'd gotten was correct, it would have been a physical impossibility for him to have committed the robbery. We got a copy of his jacket and looked over his past record. We found that Bishop had been arrested for armed robbery the first time 18 years previously. He'd been brought to trial and acquitted. The next arrest was 10 months after his trial. He'd been convicted and served 6 years at San Quentin. He'd been released, and within 6 months, Bishop had been picked up again. This time he was sent to Folsom Penitentiary. While he was there, he appeared to be a model prisoner, and after serving 4.5 years, he'd been placed on parole. After leaving the prison, he'd requested and he'd been granted an out-of-state leave. In checking Bishop's M.O., we found that it matched exactly that of the thieves who'd held up the Lockton market. The time of approach was the same. The number of men used was the same. The method of leaving the scene was exact. We had a suspect, and yet he couldn't have committed the crime. 3 weeks passed. On Saturday, November 26th, the thieves hit again. In checking with the victims, they identified the mugshot of Bishop. We put in a long-distance call to the Phoenix Police Department and asked them to check on the suspect. We got word back that he was in their city. They told us that he wasn't at work due to a virus infection. They went on to say that they checked with his landlady and that she told them that Bishop hadn't left his apartment at all on the day of the theft. Monday, November 28th, we got our first break in the case.
I'll get it. Robbery, Smith. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Jerry. Uh-huh. You sure about that? Where? Uh-huh. How about the rest of them? Yeah, just a minute. Toss me that pad, will you?
Yeah, here you go.
Okay, Jerry. Go ahead. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How do you spell it? L-A? L-E-A-H-Y? Uh-huh, I got it. Mm-hmm. You know the address? Yeah. Okay, thanks, Jerry. We'll get in touch with you. Right. Jerry Evanston, remember the guy we talked to over on South 7th?
Yeah?
Well, the way he tells it, we aren't too far off.
How do you mean?
He saw Bishop in town last Saturday.
We put in a call and we found that there were 2 major airlines with flights to Phoenix. The flight time they listed was 1 hour and 35 minutes by air. If Bishop caught the last flight leaving Phoenix, he could arrive in Los Angeles at 11:20 p.m., the night before he planned to commit a robbery. The next day after the holdup, he could catch a plane from the Los Angeles International Airport that would have him back in Phoenix at 8:25 p.m. By doing this, he would be absent from his work only 1 day, and he could schedule his flights so as not to hit on the days when he had an interview with his parole officer. Tuesday, November 29th, a meeting was held in Chief Thad Brown's office. It was decided to put a special stakeout on the airport and wait for the suspect to come into town. At that time, he'd be followed and taken into custody as he prepared to commit another robbery. The names of the 3 other men Jerry Evanston had given Frank as having been involved in the holdups had been checked through R&I. All 3 of them had arrest records. Surveillances were placed on their homes, and they were kept under constant watch. Monday, December 12th, 11:15 p.m. Frank and I relieved the stakeout at the airport.
There's a bench over there. We can keep all the gates in view.
Yeah.
Wonder when he's going to hit again.
I don't know. The last couple of weeks has sure dragged by, haven't they?
Yeah. Anything on the other 3 guys?
Well, I talked to Pinky Meade this morning. He and Leitner are staked out at Lay's apartment.
How they doing?
Nothing. They parked in the car down the street. From what they say, Lay's like a clock. He comes in at 5 a.m., leaves at 9 p.m. every day. You got a cigarette?
Yeah. Here you go.
Thanks.
Joe.
Yeah. Bishop. Let's let him get outside.
Yeah. Wonder if he's got any luggage.
And they bring it up outside. We can wait for him there. Now, come on.
You see him?
Yeah, there he is. Getting into that cab. Come on. Frank and I got in our car and followed the cab taken by the suspect. We followed him out of the airport grounds and then up La Brea Avenue. The cab turned right on Washington Boulevard and headed for downtown Los Angeles. We pulled up to a stoplight.
Still got him?
Yeah, he's still up ahead, in front of that blue Mercury. See him?
Yeah. You got the number of the cab?
Mm-hmm. 2974.
There's the light.
All right, let's go. Better try to pick it up a little, Frank. Cab's pulling away from us.
Yeah. Think he's seen us?
No. Can't you close in a little?
Traffic's too heavy. Can't use a siren. We'll trip him.
Yeah.
Still see him?
Yeah. There's a break. Guy ahead's making a right turn. Now we're right behind the cab.
Yeah. I'll close in now.
Good. Watch it, Frank. That guy pulling out of the alley.
Hold on.
As we drove down the street after the stoplight had changed, the car had failed to make a boulevard stop coming out of an alley, and we'd hit it broadside. The damage done to both cars was considerable, and we'd lost our suspect. Frank got to a phone and called the office. He gave them the number of the cab that Bishop was in and asked for a traffic investigation car. The office started a search for the missing suspect. Lieutenant Jack Smyers told us to proceed to the apartment of Tom Leahy to wait for further development. In the meantime, a citywide broadcast went out carrying the description of Bishop and the other 3 men involved in the theft. Frank and I arrived at the apartment, and we relieved Meade and Leitner. We had the manager of the place let us into Leahy's room. We waited. 1:30 a.m., 2:30, 4 o'clock, 5:30 a.m. Frank and I had been on duty for over 21 hours. At 5:45, the phone in the apartment rang once, and then it quit. That was the arranged signal between us and the office. Frank put in a call. Lieutenant Smyers told us that officers Max Herman and Ed Benson were on the way out to relieve us. 15 minutes later, we heard somebody in the hall.
Joe?
Yeah, probably Benson and Herman.
Yeah.
I'll get him.
Watch it,
Look
Joe.
out, look out. Give it up, Bishop.
You all right, Joe?
Yeah, come on.
He's going upstairs.
Making for the roof. Come on.
See him?
No. You want to take that side?
Right.
Watch it.
Behind the elevator shaft, Joe.
Yeah, I see him.
Get away from me, cop.
You're in trouble, Bishop. Don't build any more for yourself.
I got nothing to lose. They nail me again. I'll be up in the joint for life. Don't cost nobody should you.
There's no way off this roof, Bishop. Throw that gun out here and you follow it.
You're out of your mind, cop.
Give it up, Bishop. Now, come on, throw that gun out.
I'm going out, cop. You try to stop me, I'll blow your head off.
You all right, Joe?
Yeah.
How is he?
I better call an ambulance.
Yeah. What's that fill out of his pocket?
Wait a minute. Something he'll never use.
Yeah?
Airplane ticket to Phoenix.
Albert Martin Kruger, Harold Nelson Bishop, Thomas Nagel Leahy, and Charles Everett Lee were taken into custody and brought to trial for 2 counts of robbery in the first degree. They were convicted and received sentence as prescribed by law. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years. Because of his previous record, Thomas Nagel Leahy was given the maximum sentence and is now serving life imprisonment in the state penitentiary, Folsom, California.
Dragnet is a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.